This week's episode of I Was a Teenage Film Snob is not even supposed to be here today. Welcome to I Was a Teenage Film Snob. I'm James Chalmers, your friendly neighborhood film snob, and this is episode 26, the 6-month mark. Technically, we've been going a little bit longer than 6 months, but there were a couple of little gaps in there. Some of it was party planning, some of it was illness, some of it was me trapped in time. I'm still stuck, by the way, hoping to get home one day. But thankfully, when you're in the time stream, your internet connection is better than ever. And all your Blu-rays are multi-region. So I'm not saying definitely get stuck in time, but there's some positives there as well. Who else could appear on such a monumental episode than the king of the podcast? Well, I guess I'm the king of the podcast, but he's a fine duke, or perhaps a sweet prince. Please welcome back the only man that I'll ever love, Mr. Nick Owen.
Well, what an introduction. Thanks, James.
It really went all over the place, didn't it? Multiverse, falling in love, sweet princes.
I'd like to be known as the Duke from now on, actually. Or Duke Silver, either two.
I don't know where that came from. I think I've had Tenacious D on the mind. And I don't know if there's a song called City Hall by Tenacious D. And basically the whole idea is they hate the government and they want to run the new world. And they keep referring to themselves as two kings. But then Jack Black's maybe I don't want to be a king. Maybe a duke, a kick-ass duke. So that's always not far from my mind. How are you, my friend?
Oh, very well. And thanks again for having me back on your podcast. Very well. Exciting news in the Owen clan with the arrival of my little niece, Belle. So that's been really exciting this week.
That is a great name.
Oh, thank you.
Now, of course,
thank you. Yeah, I had a lot to do with it.
Now, of course, my mind only goes to movies. Is that inspired by some art, or is it just hey, we just like the name Belle?
I think they just really love the name. Christy Lee, so that's my sister-in-law. She's a big Disney kid, and she loves all the old school Disney films. So Belle was going to be, obviously a firm favorite of theirs from a while back. But I think, in general, they just really liked it as a name.
I think either way it works. But
yeah, it's beautiful.
I mean, look, there are plenty of Disney princess names that you would probably want to avoid, I'm sure. So, but Belle, certainly not one of them. That's a great name, and very unique. You don't meet a lot of Belles, so I think they've done their daughter quite the service there, giving a very cool, unique name that is also very pretty.
Belle Brooklyn, because I think so. Brooklyn is where they got engaged, so that's a special place for them.
as well. I wondered about that. That's very cool as well, and that's also, I wouldn't say a common name, but you do see that name pop up from time to time. So no, that's cool.
Yeah, so good times.
Excellent.
But I do have a surprise for you.
Oh my goodness!
My girlfriend sucked 37 dicks.
Oh, someone watched Clerks.
So I didn't want to reveal that to you until we were live on air.
I was going to ask you, and I was like, no. He might not have had a chance to watch it. That is funny. We will definitely talk about Clerks. Right after that, there's that line, which I'm sure you're aware of, where he's try not to, on the way to the parking lot. I like to use that one all the time. I had a buddy turned 37 recently, and I said, try not to unwrap any birthday presents at the parking lot, and he didn't pick up on it, unfortunately. But
well, actually, I think my favorite line in the whole movie, and I'm sure we'll cover this later. I'm not jumping into a very quick, unplanned review of Clerks, movie that came out in 1994, I think. But there's a customer. He's like,
is it the old Jewish guy?
No, it's he just yells out, "My girlfriend sucked 37 dicks," and then there's a customer who's just in a row. Genius! I was laughing my ass off.
Ah, good. Excellent. Well, we're definitely looking forward to that. I can't really quote anything from Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, but I can tell I watched it. I mean, there's no
Not really
lines
a
like
very
that in
fair,
the movie.
yeah, not really a very fair trade-off. This was 90 minutes of snappy dialogue, and your task was like 2.5 hours of dour British spy.
But we'll definitely talk about it because I'll tell you what, it was not a chore to watch. It was an absolute delight to watch.
Oh, good.
But yeah. So tonight, no real agenda. We don't have a list. We're just going to kind of freestyle it because episode 26, we're like, hey, let's just get together and have a bit of a chat. We actually had something else planned. I don't think I can spoil it because it's not going to go ahead now, but there was going to be a big game show episode. But now that I know how hard it is to schedule just one guest, I was trying to get 4 people. It's going to be really difficult, and the recording logistics are going to be very challenging. So maybe we'll save that for the year, at the end, like the end of the first year, like 52 episodes.
I think that's a pretty cool idea to round out the first of many years on the podcast. I think it's like have a big like birthday extravaganza.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got plenty of fun stuff, in the pipeline. Like obviously, I've been teasing it for the last 2 months, but Halloween's coming. I'm very excited about that. We've got some stuff there. I'm already looking at how we're going to do some Christmas episodes. I got some pretty interesting stuff planned there as well. And now that my time machine, I should have mentioned this. I am trapped in time, but I did find one of those like converters from Back to the Future 2, so I can use anything as fuel now. The problem is the navigator's broken, so I can fuel my time machine, but I can't choose where I end up.
There's worse decades to be stuck.
Yeah, so I'm still in the time stream. I'm still tinkering away with it. I'm hoping that I'll be able to come back to 2022, or I might even go back, go forward a few years till after all this COVID stuff's done, and maybe I can just kind of, well, maybe I'll go way into the future and find the cure to everything, and then come back.
But we could also, if you get stuck for content and you need a filler episode, we could also record. So you don't really see it as much anymore, but you used to hear it for radio shows or like sitcoms. But like one of those ones where it's like there's like pre-recorded clips of us going like, "Oh, remember that time when?"
Yeah, a clip show.
Just play clips.
If you think I haven't thought of that, you gravely misunderstand me.
That person
I have thought
has got
about
himself or herself into hot water.
It's quite the predicament.
Yeah.
Well, I've already done one kind of flashback show, and it was way early in the run. I think it was like episode 30. I was like, damn it. I didn't want to rely on a flashback episode this soon, but I was so caught up with not having any weeks without episodes. And then I got pneumonia, and I was like, you know what? Being alive is probably a bit more important. But I haven't missed too many weeks. I've been pretty good with it. Consistency is the key. So I got some. I don't know if this is exciting or not, but I was pretty excited. I just crossed or just began the 100th movie of the year for myself. So
not a bad effort so far.
Sorry, 100th new movie. I've also rewatched 40 movies as well.
Oh, okay, 100 new. I'm always impressed by your ability to plow through new movies. For me, because I just don't have as much of a chance to watch movies, I tend to kind of when I do get the chance, I kind of like return to like those comfort movies where I'm like, you know what, I know I want to enjoy this, so I'm pleased to hear that.
It's interesting because I always have movies I want to rewatch, but I think it was back in 2017 when I was like, I'm going to watch 365 movies in 365 days. And also, none of them are going to be rewatches. I kind of got this new mindset where I was like, oh, yeah, I can rewatch that movie again, but what am I missing out on if I rewatch something? So then I kind of became like, I want to consume as much new as possible. And now I think I've got a pretty healthy balance where I'm like, I want to watch new, but if I'm not going to like punish myself if I rewatch something I've seen before, especially if I enjoy it. But the other thing this year was like, I mean, you've seen my collection. If you haven't seen it recently, like this is where I'm at. I'm showing Nick, which no one will ever be able to see because the podcast is audio, but I've got about 600 plus Blu-rays on the shelf. And I think about 3 months ago, there were 50 plus movies I hadn't seen ever, and I've owned them for ages. So I was like, all right, I'm cutting out streaming. I'm only going to watch the Blu-rays. Now that being said, I did watch Prey on Disney Plus last week because I kept hearing how good it was. But I've been pretty strict, just like trying to watch all the stuff I've never seen from my collection before and just plow through it. Because I also buy a lot. Like I told you before we started recording, I do have 27 movies on order currently. I don't know if they'll arrive to my postal address or to my time machine address. That's a whole thing. But
Yeah, I'd be impressed.
I am leaning into this bit. Don't worry.
I would be impressed if they shipped them to 1985.
That's it. Well, I put a little out of time sticker on it, so they'll know.
I hope it also came with a bonus. What was those massive discs called that were competing with
Laser
DVDs?
discs?
Yeah, laser discs or whatever. I hope it came with a bonus one of them. I feel like that technology was around in the 80s.
Laserdisc was our non-sponsor last week, I think. I think last week's episode was not brought to you by Laserdisc.
Yeah.
I'm running out. I've been trying to do 80s themed sponsors as well. And I'm glad that the 80s is over because I'm running out of 80s sponsors. Like at this point, I'm just like, caramel cord. Like, and I'm like, no. I've got to save that for Halloween. I've got to get all my Halloween candies for
Does Huey Lewis sponsor podcasts?
Oh, I should have done that. I should have said this week's episode is not sponsored by Huey Lewis and the News. That would have been a good one. You would think that, like, because it's a joke, it'd be very easy and fun and creative to do. But I get really, like, last night I was doing the intro for this coming week's episode. So we're recording this one in advance because in time it's all fluid. Yeah, I'm still going with the joke. And I was like, what am I going to do? What can I do? And I was like, oh, Reese's Pieces. We talked about ET. No, I did Reese's Pieces like 3 weeks ago. I was like, no, and I don't keep a list. So I'm just relying on my memory, which I'll be honest is souring as I get older. Like there's the holes in my memory are larger than the average sieve now. It's getting tough.
Yeah. And I feel like, well, with 80s, like I could name you basic concepts like yoga videotapes, for the home,
like Lycra.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know about specific products. I'm pretty sure Jane Fonda was big in the home workout game.
She was,
maybe Jane could sponsor an episode.
It's going to be weird if the show ever does get sponsors. It's not. There's nothing planned. Like I always kind of thought that if the show ever did get sponsored, I would not go with the usuals. Like I'm not going to get MeUndies. I'm not going to get Squarespace. I'm not going to get. Yeah, I'm not going to get any of those. I would want to keep it themed to movies. So I'd be more like, oh look, if someone makes like artisan popcorn, like, you can sponsor the show. I don't know how that works out for either of us, but I'll do it. If there's like a little mom and pop like cinema, you can sponsor the show. Like I want to keep it relevant.
Companies obviously target the content that they want. Like where are our likely customers? Where are their eyes? Where are their ears? And I feel like who would come to you for sponsor? I feel like you'd get those like freemium medieval like mobile games, those kinds of things. They'd come here, I reckon.
Maybe like Shudder. I think Shudder were a sponsor for this podcast for a while. That's cool because that's horror movies. That's a horror streaming channel.
Yeah,
I'd take them.
I don't know if you'd attract the Simply Safe home security kind of like crowd.
Yeah, they're like he can't look. He's stuck in the middle of time, guys. Like he's the opposite of Simply Safe. He's simply gone bananas. But yeah,
I mean, if we show them this episode, they're bound to get on board.
They'll be like, that is a tangent. There is no framework here. He had such a. When he started, it was a very simple show. Like he had a list. He did a small interview. They go through five movies that the person liked. He asked rapid fire questions. They were out. Now, not only is there no format, he's stuck in time. Like, what's going on? This guy's lost the plot.
Digital jazz, man.
Digital jazz. Also, we definitely started this conversation by saying, "Hey, I started watching my 100th movie today, and look how quickly it's gone."
I think like this first little segment is a real insight as to why we don't free ball episodes, because it's just like it literally can devolve into just like us just like talking randomly as if no one's listening.
Yeah, it's fine though. Like that's most of the first podcasts I ever listened to were exactly this. Like it wasn't formatted. And also what I found is like as I've listened to more podcasts as I go on, the ones that do have a niche, and this is maybe not a good thing to say because my podcast is a structured niche as well, is that the ones that have that format and that like kind of news segment stuff, they're less re-listenable. I'm like, I don't really know to go about it. But the ones that like where they just go on wild tangents and tell stories, I'm like, oh, I want to hear that story again. That was really funny.
Yeah.
So like those movie news shows, whatever, like, yeah, they're good, but I don't need to hear about the news from 6 months ago. Like it's not news anymore. It's old. So like, yep. My mission
Oh
is just to
dear.
really disappoint you as much as possible.
It's like it's like wearing me down, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Like medieval gates, and you've got like a ram,
yep.
and then like one of your jokes will be like that like fiery dog ram from Lord of the Rings.
Grond, the Hammer of the Underworld.
Yeah,
He's
that's the
here.
one.
He's here in time with me. He swings by every now and then.
Yeah,
Um,
just knocks on your door.
yeah. I was like, "What's that thumping? What's that chanting?" Um, but yeah, so 100.
100 movies.
Really happy with that. It's still a little bit far off my goal. I do like to
Mm.
try and average 200 plus movies a year, which is not unachievable. I think if you are a film fan, I think it's something that is easy to strive for. Um, I think you should be watching new stuff all the time. Like, I mean, most of the movies I've watched this year are old movies, just films my first time viewings. Like, I've been watching stuff from like the 40s and the 60s and the 70s and stuff, just trying to
Mm.
just absorb as much as possible. I watched last weekend Metropolis, the 1927 German silent expressionist film, and I picked it up, and it had been sitting there for a while because I'm going in reverse alphabetical order because the ones at the bottom, at the end of the alphabet, Zoe takes out. So I'm like, I'll get rid of those first. So
Yeah.
taking them out. But I was I was dreading it because I was looking at it and it was getting closer and closer. And I was like, I'm going to hate this. I bought this when I was in my early 20s. Like, this is such a pretentious, wanky film. Like, this is not going to be for me. And I was really like, I don't know why, but was painting myself into a corner to hate the film. And I loved it. It was really good. And I was like, oh, I guess I haven't grown as much as I thought I would because but it was great.
Yeah, and I'll circle back to your first 100 in a second, but I've been doing something similar with TV shows. I feel like these days, if you don't watch something with purpose, you just don't get through stuff, and that's what I like. I was going through a period where I'd like put an episode on, then I'd be like, yeah, watch an episode. Then I'm just going to like flick across to YouTube. I mean, I use Apple TV as my device, and it's really easy to flick between apps. So I'm like, I'll flick across to YouTube, catch up on some channels that I follow, and all of a sudden you might have like, it's bedtime, you've watched one episode and you're just not getting through stuff. So I've been doing the same with, I realized my notes on my phone of new TV shows that I was just like, oh, I should check that out. It was just getting like the length of it was starting to cause some anxiety. I was like, I will never get through this. So that's what I've been doing. Just watching, trying to get through a few of those like one season shows with a bit of purpose. It's been good to. It's so funny that what's classed as an achievement these days, but it actually felt like, you know what? It's been a good week. I've ticked off 2 shows. So.
Yeah, I've been having trouble with that. Like, I pulled out the Deadwood box set because I bought that years ago, and I was like, I've got to finally watch Deadwood. Like, I love Timothy Olyphant. Like, I love Ian McShane. I'm going to love this. And when I had pneumonia, I watched one season of it, but it took me like 2 weeks to watch 10 episodes just because I was so sleepy and tired. And because it was so dry, I was just like, and it's not a bad show. Like, it's a great show, but I was just like, I can't.
It's fantastic, but it does move quite slowly. It's quite dense. Yeah. So anyway, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just like, so I've done like bits and pieces of TV shows, and Tina and I are watching stuff. Like right now, we're watching The Sandman, which is really good. I'm really digging it. But like, it took us 2.5 weeks to start She-Hulk. And we've watched a couple of those, but like, we still haven't started season 4 of Stranger Things. Like, it's just, I get that TV show anxiety, and part of me is just like, look, I don't care. I'll just watch the movies. Like, and TV shows will come and go. Like, it's fine. Like House of the Dragon, I had no interest in, and then I saw like all the reviews. I was like, okay, I really want to watch House of the Dragon now.
Yeah, well, I feel fortunate in that I have got a bit of a backlog of TV shows, so I'm not. I think I've kind of weaned off those platforms where I might hear spoilers.
Yeah.
And like, I just don't engage in as much of that culture anymore. Like, obviously, your and my previous where we met when we worked at a like DVD place. It's like, and you're constantly talking about shows. People have seen everything, and it's like you just have to be up to date with shows. Whereas now, I can quite comfortably give House of the Dragon a miss until it's all out, and then you know what, in 3 or 4 months' time, I'll just like binge it over a weekend or something like that. So good position to be in.
I've also just deleted a lot of socials, like Reddit. I don't use anymore. Like Reddit was a minefield for spoilers. Facebook, I've deleted the app. Like I still have a Facebook account just so I can use Messenger, but I don't use the app anymore. Tina didn't know. I told Tina she'd forgotten the other day. She goes, "You see that thing I tagged you on Facebook?" I was like, "No, because I deleted Facebook." And she goes, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, like 2 months ago I deleted the app." And she goes, "I've been tagging you in things for weeks." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't see any of them." Like the only thing I have is Instagram, and I really only have it for the podcast, is so I can just put up Blu-ray photos and celebrate the episodes and stuff. And 100 followers was very cool. We crossed that mark recently as well.
Pretty big milestone.
Yeah, and like of all the people I follow, I have the lowest follow count. But for me, like it's not even about that. I'm like, how do people like this? Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that's kind of cool. So hopefully we can convert that into listeners, because I'd love for more people to listen to the show. And I guess that's me admitting that we have a very low listener base, but I don't really care. Like it's just, I do this for me. And then hopefully people will just kind of jump on board. And hey, if it takes off and becomes my career, great. If people want to support me financially, just let me know. I have to get Squarespace on board for that, I think.
And so anyway, I wanted to circle back. So you've hit the 100 movie milestone.
Yes.
Really unfair question without notice.
Yeah.
Could you give us maybe 3 to 5 highlights? Don't have to rank them, but just like what are 3 to 5 movies out of that 100 that you think, you know what, whoever's listening out there, you've got to check these out.
Yeah, I mean, look, most of them are the 2022 releases that I'm thinking of, and they'd probably have to. I want to be careful because they might end up on a list later on this year as well, or early next year. But Everything Everywhere All at Once is fantastic. That's the film by the Daniels. They also did Swiss Army Man. Michelle Yeoh.
Is that Michelle? Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, she's amazing. That's the multiversal love story. It's great. Really, really good. I love Swiss Army Man, but this film is on a whole nother level. Like it's crazy good. And all I've heard about the film is hype. So I was going in not with my arms crossed, but I was just like, it might not be as good as I was expecting.
Yeah.
The night that I watched it, Tina was out helping out the school with something, so I was looking after Zoe by myself, and I had to wait till Zoe went to sleep. And for the first time in over a year, I got a migraine, and I was like, "Oh, you're kidding me!" The first night I have to myself in months, I've got a migraine, and if I don't treat it soon, I'm going to throw up. Gross, I know, spoilers, but when I get migraines, I tend to throw up if I don't take care of them quickly. I managed to stop it, but I got an hour into the movie, and I was like, I'm going to fall asleep. I'm so drained from this migraine. I took a nap for 45 minutes, got up and watched the rest of the film, and I loved it. The fact that I was unwell did not impede my enjoyment at all. So Everything Everywhere All at Once was brilliant. The Northman, also a film this year, Robert Eggers, who did The Lighthouse and The Witch. He can't make a movie without putting the word "the" in the title. It's amazing, really good. It's another slow one. He likes to make very slow-paced films, but it's really good. Violent, beautiful, like stunning to look at.
Visually incredible.
Visual feast, one might say.
Some would.
What else have I watched that I liked this year? I liked The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Nick Cage playing Nick Cage. That was really fun and sweet.
Now, that's a real blind spot for me. I understand there was a lot of buzz around it, and you know what? The only real thing I know about it is it's like Nick Cage playing Nick Cage. So can you give me like a real quick synopsis of what it's about?
Yeah, so it's obviously a different version of Nicolas Cage. He's not playing himself. He's playing just like an alternate reality version of himself, where Nicolas Cage is kind of feeling burnt out. He's kind of feeling disenfranchised with the movie business because he's not getting the roles he should be as a movie star. And he's like, if I don't get this movie, I think it was Wes Anderson. Was it? No, it was David Gordon Green. He goes, if I don't get this David Gordon Green film, I'm quitting from acting. That's it. He doesn't get it. And then he gets contacted by his agent saying, hey, this really rich, famous guy from, I think it was South America now, I can't remember, played by Pedro Pascal. He's a huge fan. He wants you to be there for his birthday party. He's going to pay you. And Nick Cage is like, what? I'm not going to be like a clown or whatever. I don't want to do that. But then he ends up going over there, and the guy's the biggest Nicolas Cage fan in the world, but he's also probably a drug cartel leader and like traffics weapons and abducts and kidnaps people and stuff like that. He's this really dangerous guy, but they have this really beautiful bromance. and it's all born around the love of his films. Um, he also talks to the past version of himself quite a bit. So he'll like, whenever he's like pondering himself, he'll be like, "What do you think, Nick?" And he'll cut to like a very like CGI de-aged Nicolas Cage from the '90s. He's having like connection issues with his daughter, like they're kind of disengaged, and he's got an ex-wife and stuff. It's really fun. Like, is it a perfect film? No. Is it the best film of the year? No, it's not. But it's really fun. It's really sweet. That's what I was surprised by. Like the genuine friendship between Nicolas Cage and this fan is wonderful. And Pedro Pascal obviously is excellent. So it's really fun. So those three. What else to like from this year? Obviously, the Batman is brilliant. We've talked about that one a few times.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know? Just a little like comment on the Batman. Do you feel like that the hype cycle kind of faded? I don't know if this is just more like, hey, this is the age we're living in, where there's just so much content coming out, where it's like things aren't quite as sticky as they used to be, and like even a massive film like that. But I don't know. It just felt like, I mean, we did an episode, Boys Talking Bats, and you know, we obviously saw that together, and the feeling I had right after that film was like, this is a classic, like a modern classic, you know, like equally, like equally as good as like Dark Knight, and Dark Knight has stuck around. But I just sort of felt like it hasn't had the life I sort of thought it has.
I think part of it, I think there's a lot to do with it. I think part of it is COVID. Even though COVID, like we're not in lockdown anymore, people don't seem to be doing repeat viewings the same way they used to. I think content is obviously, there's so much more of it now. You know, like another film that I really liked this year was Thor: Love and Thunder, and that film came and went. Like it did well, but it actually it surpassed Ragnarok, but it came and went. Like, and I haven't heard anyone talk about it. And it was just a real shame. That film actually got kind of panned by the audience. Critics liked it, but the audience didn't like it. But I just think it's kind of brilliant. And it's been really slept on.
Yeah, I can't wait for it to. Sorry to cut you off there. I did not get a chance to see it in cinemas, and just as we're talking, I'm flicking through the Disney app right now because I think
it's out soon.
Yeah, I saw that it was out quite soon. So that's one bonus of like the age we're living in. Is stuff just like gets to you pretty soon after the cinema.
So those are a few. Like it's been a good year for movies. I haven't really disliked any movies I've watched this year. So of the 100, those are just the ones, you know, just some of the ones that came out this year. But if I pull up my list really quickly, give me a second. I'll just see what I've watched because I've watched a lot. I watched some Hitchcock stuff that I hadn't seen before. I just finished watching this 5-movie series called Phantasm. It's a horror film that started in the 70s, but goes all the way through to about 2016, which has some really good films and some films that, you know, are fine.
Yeah.
I watched. I've been watching some old Bond films that I've never seen before. Shutter Island, I loved. We talked about that one previously, you and I. What else? I watched Morbius. Morbius is not a terrible film. Like
you're the first person I've heard who said that, James.
It's if that film came out in the mid 2000s, people would be all over it. Like it would, and it did things that I've never seen before. Like those scenes of vampires flying, I've never seen visuals like that before. Is it a great film? No, of course not. Like, you know, but it's not a bad film. I think that film just got mocked for whatever reason. It is totally fine. Like if you stack it up against any non-MCU film from the 2000s, like it would fit there perfectly fine. I really liked. What else did I watch? I really liked Ghostbusters Afterlife. I finally caught up on that. There's a great horror film that came out this year called X, which is kind of a love letter to 70s exploitation films. That was really good. Saint Maud, which is a horror film from 2019, I really enjoyed. Scream 5. I did the entire Planet of the Apes collection. I've never seen the original series before, except for the first movie. There's a lot. There's been a lot. It's been a good year for movies for me. Just stuff I've never seen before. And I don't know whether it's just because as I get older, I just don't get annoyed by things as much. Well, I don't get annoyed by movies. But I get more tolerant. But no, it's just been really good. I've been enjoying it, and I've still got like a good chunk of movies to watch that are sticking out on my shelf right now. But I'm looking forward to all of it. It's been a ride, man.
Well, it sounds it. Well, did you want to pivot into the two films that we kind of watched? Obviously, like you've been telling me. Well, you haven't been telling me to watch Clerks, but you've been telling me how good Clerks is, and that it's been one of your favorite films for a long, long, long time now. And I mean, I probably haven't been banging on about Tinker Tailor for quite as long. Obviously, it only came out in the I don't know, we're probably like 7 or 8 years old now.
2011, so it's just over a decade old.
Oh, there we go. But you're the host. You choose. Where do you want to start?
We can start with Tinker Tailor. I really enjoyed it. It's got a killer cast. First of all,
stacked, isn't it? The cast, like there's just good people everywhere.
Like obviously Gary Oldman, Colin Firth, John Hurt, a very young Tom Hardy, and that wasn't his first role, but it's still pre-fame Tom Hardy. Like he'd done Inception, he'd done Bronson, but he hadn't done Dark Knight Rises at that point.
Yeah, which really supporting in casts.
Yeah, like that's the movie that really launches him into stardom. Benedict Cumberbatch also kind of pre-fame. Like he'd been in a few things. I think he'd started doing Sherlock around that time.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So he's TV famous, but hadn't really kind of launched to where he is now, which is he's just all over the place. I'm sure I'm missing. Toby Jones.
Mark Strong.
Mark Strong. Yeah, absolutely.
He's always good.
So first of all, it's nowhere near as slow as I remember it. I think when we talked about your top 5 favorite films, I was like, yeah, I tried watching. It was just very slow. But I also think I acknowledged that we were quite tired then. And when I spoke to Tina, she was like, oh, how was it? Last time we tried it was, it was a bit tough. And I said, yeah, I think we're tired. But also we were quite young then and tastes change. And whereas now I'm a lot more patient with films. It's quite tense. It's really well paced there. My own, this is not even a gripe. I figured out who the traitor was very early on. And I don't know whether because I hadn't read about it and I hadn't had it spoiled for me. And if you did tell me who the villain of the piece was in that podcast, I'd forgotten. But I don't think I would have. I'd be happy to be corrected, but I just don't think I would have spoiled it. But I don't know what it was. I was like, I'm pretty sure, and I won't spoil it. I won't spoil a 10-year-old film for people who haven't seen it yet. But I was just like, I don't know what's telling me this, but I'm pretty sure he is the villain. And then I was like, oh, I was right. Like that was
good. And I think so. It's definitely a film that lends itself to a few watches. I mean,
I agree.
I've seen it probably 4 or 5 times now, and every time you pick up just like because it's code names. They're spoken once and maybe not mentioned again for quite a long part of the film. And so if you're not switched on, and that's why I said if you've seen it a few times, you just start to pick up a lot more. Otherwise, stuff just like goes straight over your head. And but like it's authenticity and it's like it's. I mean, like obviously not being around in like the early 70s, I can't speak about what it looked like. But to me, that just like when I think of like that real uptight British conservative environment, it's exactly what this delivers. Just muted browns and oranges, cigarette smoke everywhere.
I will be, if I'm perfectly honest, it did lose me for a bit. So I had to watch it over a couple of nights. And as I mentioned to you before we started recording, I have been quite tired. I should have watched it on the weekend when I was Saturday I was dead. But like I should have watched it when I was less tired. And there was a bit towards the end where it just like, I think my brain struggled with a little bit. And the moment that really confused me was when it cuts to them in like the lodge. You know how like they're in like all the groups together for Christmas or whatever, and then you find out that like Smiley's wife is having an affair or whatever.
Yes.
But there's a point where like a communist national anthem plays or something, and I was like,
that's
wait,
the Russian anthem.
Yeah, and I was like, wait, are they all Russians? Did I miss something? Or like, are they all meant to be communists?
Yeah. Nah, yeah. Well, they're singing it ironically,
Yeah, because
but
it's
like,
not
yeah,
played for humor. It's actually played quite straight. I'm like, hang on,
yeah.
is, is
They all get up and like start kind of like singing to it.
yeah, and I was like, is George Smiley like not aware that they're all communists, and now he's got it like they're all the villain? I was like, and then like obviously it kind of resolves itself, but it just confused. I just got a little bit caught off guard there for a bit. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah. But I also just love that it's kind of almost like that hard-boiled detective, like it's in the details kind of thing. It's
Yeah,
like who got there the night that testing my memory in terms of like the events that happened, but like the person who ultimately is the villain, arrived too early at the station after like the call came in or something like that.
yeah.
And it's just like I love those like little details and stuff like that. So, okay, I'm really glad that you had a better experience this time
No, it
watching it.
was really good, and I do want to watch it again. Like, and I wanted to show Tina because I think she'll really dig it as well. But I need to give it another go. I remember the thing that really stuck out to me. I was just like, oh, that's really like you talk about the kind of the detective side of it, and just in the details. There's that bit where in a flashback, George comes home, and Colin Firth is in his like dining room, or whatever. He's
Yeah,
like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And he's like, "Oh, I just came to drop this off." And then like you just see him look down, and he's trying to get his shoes back on.
yeah,
And you're like, and like that's what tipped him off. And it's just like, gee, it's such just a funny little detail that really just like goes to show like how good he is, like at picking up
yeah,
things. And like that was the moment where he just knew like I can't trust him and I can't trust my wife, and it's like now I don't trust anyone.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, it was really interesting, and just obviously John Hurt has since passed away, but it was just lovely to see that kind of powerhouse performance. Like he's not in the movie that much, really. Like he's kind of like a bit player, but you're just like, geez, like this guy he just was something else. I watched another John Hurt film recently as well. I watched Midnight Express, and he's in that as well. And I was just like, gee, he's just it's almost hard to describe the kind of just presence he brings to a performance. But so good.
yeah. He's incredible. Really, very handsome fellow as well.
Mm. Even
And
as an old man, like
yeah,
even yeah,
yeah,
like as far as like he's quite dashing. Like,
yeah. And he's truly incredible in 1984. I'm not sure if you've seen the
I
adaptation.
haven't. It's on my list, but I haven't got around to it yet. So
Yeah, I mean, it's one of my all-time favorite books. Like, I just adore the book. So,
oh,
unfortunately,
that's a tough book to love. So I'm glad you like it because
it's incredible.
mm,
It's an incredible novel. And so, like, I mean, the film. It's just one of those ones where it's like, particularly a film that was made in the 80s. I think they could probably do a much better job of it now.
mm.
But yeah, he's truly incredible and definitely worth checking out.
Oh, it's definitely on my list. Yeah, that book. I think I read that book at a wrong time in my life. Like it'd been sitting on my shelf for ages, and I decided to read it when I was arguably going through the most depressing time of my life ever. And like was not that I was like, oh, this is a really depressing read, and this is not making me feel good at all.
Yeah,
But it is a
yeah.
wonderful book.
And so to pivot to the film I watched, 1994's Clerks, written and directed by your man.
Kevin Smith. Yeah, I obviously I have a lot to say about this film, and I can talk forever. But I am really keen to see what you think, because I remember I think I told you this when you were on last, that I recommended to a mutual friend of ours when I first started working when we did. And he was like, "Oh, I'll check it out." And the next day he brought it back. He goes, "Oh, I can see the appeal," and that was his review. And I was like, "Oh, you didn't get it. Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine. Like that's okay." And it's not the kind of film that like I would hang a friendship on. Like Tina's seen it once, and she's like, "It's fine," but it's not really her style of humor. Like there are some Kevin Smith films she'll go in for more, but like Clerks is quite raw, quite brash. Like it's definitely making a statement and it's definitely trying to prove itself. So it's not for everyone, and it's filthy. Like it's maybe the
yeah.
filthiest film ever
I
made.
mean, it hasn't really aged particularly well. But I'll start at
Yeah,
the start.
yeah, go for it.
We'll get to that. So
Yeah.
a few assumptions I had, literally knowing nothing going in. I mean, it'll sound ridiculous now. I just thought, like, again, like, don't even think I'd ever looked at like the cover of this. I knew Kevin Smith was in it. I assumed he was the guy who works at the like the main guy. I just
Oh, you
thought
thought
that
he was
was Kevin
Dante?
Smith.
Yeah, no.
Like, yeah. So that was my first assumption. But no, to put you at ease, I really liked it. I thought it was great, and I can see why you like it. Like
Yeah.
the banter just reminds me of like talking shit with you.
Well, I talked about this on the last episode or one of the previous episodes with my friend Maddie, and we were talking about. She was talking about Steel Magnolias, and the way she sold it to me, I've never seen it. She was talking about the importance of dialogue, and I'm like, okay, you've got me now. Like that's it, because dialogue is my jam. I love dialogue. And I said something, and I was like, oh, that's quite profound. But I said to her, for me, dialogue is where representation begins. Because I'd never seen myself on screen in a film before. Like, I've seen, like, I'm a straight white male in my 30s, so I should be able to relate to most things. But I'm not like an action star or I'm not like hunting down chicks or anything. So I didn't say that. And then I saw Clerks. I was like, oh, this is me. This is me and my
Yeah,
friends. We work in video stores, we got movies, we make fun of people like this. Okay, now I'm seeing myself on screen. And that was, 10, 15, 10, 11 years after that movie was made. Like I saw it. Anyway, sorry. I'll let you continue.
no, and like some of the things were just so relatable. Having spent a few, like I've done my hard time in retail, and some of the things were so relatable. In fact, has there been a more relatable line than "I wasn't supposed to be here today"?
Yeah, not even supposed to be here today. But one of my favorite lines is, "You hate people, but I love gatherings." Like that's how I feel as well. Like, or this job would be great if it weren't for the customers. Like,
yeah. What's your name? Annoying customer. Fuck you. So a few early observations. Off to a rocky start. What's the production company? Is it View Askew?
View Askew, yeah.
Weird, like production titles. Very strange.
Oh, the clown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, James, what the hell have you gotten me into?
Well, yeah, Kevin Smith was like, I think he's like 22, 23 when he made this. And his buddy, who plays four of the characters in it. So there's the annoying customer, there's the egg guy, there's the milk carton guy.
Yeah.
Oh no,
the hockey guy, or is that a different person?
Maybe one of the hockey guys. He's also an artist. And he used to do designs for like metal bands and stuff, and like for weird comics and stuff. And he came up with Volga the Clown. And Kevin Smith was like, he's like, keep that one. That's really strange. I'd like to use that so we stand out when we try to market the film. So it was like that. That's actually not the logo anymore. But in his 20s, like, this is weird. It's going to gain attention.
Yeah, well, definitely did.
Yeah,
gained my attention. And then immediately I was struck by. Now, I think I did know that it was in black and white, just from a conversation I had with you, or I just knew enough about it. But I sort of didn't expect it to be so lo-fi. Like this. It's really grainy, and there's some parts where you just kind of struggling to see what's going on.
It's a lot better on the Blu-ray. It's a lot crisper, but yeah, like the film was shot in a budget of $27,500. And the reason it's in black and white is because they're like, look, if we shoot in color, they were going to shoot in color, and they're like, if we're going to shoot in color, we have to replace all the fluorescent light bulbs in this convenience store with theater lights. And like, oh, well, let's shoot in black and white then. Yeah. So it was a budget thing. Like you can tell later, there's a scene outside in the evening when they're dancing in the dark. We're just like, there's no film lighting here at all.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, those are just like some observations on how it looks. But like, yeah, I was just struck by some stuff that's so relatable. Like that guy who he's just like, "Can I drink my coffee here?" And then sets up and he's like a rep for I forget what it's called.
Chewl's gum.
Yeah, that's right. And then
it's like cigarettes. This is your plug.
I was just pissing myself when he's just like, cancer merchant. So that was really funny. Jay the I'm assuming Silent Bob is Kevin Smith, right?
Yeah, and Jason Mewes plays Jay.
Yeah, Jay. He's really annoying.
Yeah, he's in that particular film, he's quite problematic. So the actor who plays first of all, there's no actors in this film except for Dante and Veronica. Everyone else is and Caitlin. Everyone else is just friends. They're just like people that he knew or whatever. But Jay is based on Jason Mewes, who he was when he was 16, and he was just a guy who really talked about sleeping with a lot of girls, but was a virgin for years.
Yeah.
But he used some of the language he uses. He's just like, oof, that's it's quite problematic for today. But then as the films progress, he softens a little bit. So even though he's in most of the films and he's still quite crass and vulgar, first of all, no more homophobic slurs. They stopped with the first film, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
also
was
he
going to leave
becomes
that till the end to some of the things that didn't go down quite as well. But
and he becomes quite sweet. Like there's by Jay and Silent Bob, he's actually he's a real sweetheart. He's also just an idiot. He's a what? I'm trying to think what he says. He goes, he's like an idiot with a heart of gold. He was like nickel head heart of gold or something like that. But
yeah. But I mean, I'm not. It's not a hangable. It's not great in hindsight, and at the time, probably not great then. But you know what? It feels like they realized the error, corrected, and I mean, if they had the whole back catalogue of films had that kind of stuff in it, you'd be like, okay, bit disappointing. But I mean, it's not hangable to it's just it was probably more acceptable at the time to use those kinds of slurs.
Yeah, and also especially being from New Jersey, I know it's a weird thing to say, but New Jersey is very much it is a little bit less progressive, or it was in the 90s. But yeah.
And I also found, so I'm just picking out moments that I really enjoyed here. Randall's reaction to being in a good video store was also so relatable.
Yeah.
He just drops to his knees, and I'm like, yeah, it's exactly what we were talking about in the 80s podcast when we're talking about that feeling of being in a video store.
I want to rent a movie. You work in a video store. Yeah. I want to rent a good movie from a good video store. That character Randall is Kevin Smith was supposed to play that. He wrote that role for himself, and then he got to the end. He's like, I can't memorize all this dialogue, so he got someone else to do it instead.
And I also found it really hilarious when the lady and a baby or young daughter went into the store to ask after about that kids film.
Happy Scrappy Hero Pup. Yeah.
Happy, yes. And he's just like, oh, I'm on the phone to this distributor. And then he's just like, hang on, I'll ask about it. And then just reels off this horrific list of porn. And just, oh yeah, and what was that one you wanted?
I also love, they say so much about them, but you don't know if they're any good. Do you know if these are any good? And he's like, yeah, they're good. And then she's like, well, how about these? Oh, they suck. These are the same movies. You caught me.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate your ruse, madam.
And I actually thought it was quite a tender and touching moment when, again, you have to help me out with the names here because I've only seen it the one time, but the girl who sort of his ex-girlfriend who comes back.
Caitlin,
and he's just like, if you break his heart, I'll kill you or something like that. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's actually quite touching.
That is the key relationship in the film. It's a love story between two best friends, and Clerks 2 further explores that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I should definitely check that out.
But Clerks 2 is amazing. It should not work as well as it does. It's a brilliant sequel, and I'm getting anxious about Clerks 3, which is coming out soon, because do you catch lightning in a bottle 3 times? But the second one was so surprisingly good.
Yeah,
I got to have some faith in part 3.
Some other, I found it really relatable as well. I don't know if this is just me, but having worked. So my first job out of high school, I got a job at a service station, so a petrol station / car garage place, and it did have the same dead end vibe that this does.
Yeah,
and there was a staff toilet, and there was for customers, and it was a bit of a policy of the toilet is just for customers. And so you would just that thing of people just coming in and just incessantly asking to use the toilet. It just reminded me of that old guy. Yeah. Made me laugh a lot. And then I guess there's some like stuff that probably doesn't hold up as well
Mm.
in 2022. So like, I'm not sure it's that acceptable to have like a sort of like joke based around like a rape.
Yeah, I mean,
Like that whole bit at the back end of the film was just a bit. It just felt like it almost like it was a bit too. I don't know. It didn't really match with the rest of the film's tone, in my
well,
thoughts.
I guess the only thing is that it's not a rape. Like they kind of, that's what Dante jumps to, but like it's just a. And this is gonna sound like a weird, like this sounds like a weird dilution, but it's actually just a horrible misunderstanding.
Yeah.
It's a dead, it's a dead guy in the toilet. Um, but yeah, that's probably the bit that probably sticks with me the most is one of the tougher parts of the film at this point. Because I watch Clerks every year. It's one of the few films I will watch every year on without fail. Um, and it doesn't even play as a comedy to me anymore. Like, yes, look, there are things I've seen so many times. I know all the jokes that are coming and that sort of thing. So for me, it's just kind of like, oh, this is like familiar, dirty friends. But whenever I get to that part, I'm like, yeah, I forgot about the really creepy, dark bit at the end of the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's also like a little bit existential for that. Like, I'm pretty sure you and I would have both been in that position as well. But like when you're in your early or mid 20s and you're probably working at a job where you're not loving it, and there's definitely like there's a few monologues towards the end of the film that actually rung pretty true about like
Yeah.
not trying and stuff like that. And it was like yeah. So anyway, bit of a like tangential review going in all these different directions, but like man, great recommendation. Really enjoyed it.
It's a solid flick. I really love it. And whilst there are some things that haven't aged well, like some of the language I mentioned, and definitely that the dead guy part. But I think you take those out of the way, and even though the visual quality is low, it's just simply because of the budget. The main structure of the story and most of the kind of plot points, I think it works in any era. Like I first watched that movie when I was 16 or 17 years old, and I wasn't even working at. Oh, I think I was working at a video store then, so I loved that. But then, like 5 years later, and I was working in a restaurant. I'm like, this film still works for me. And then I was working in retail, slinging DVDs. I'm like, it still works for me. Now, I love it, but I can't really be like, oh, I'm like Dante anymore because I'm not. Like now, I work in a more corporate setting.
Yeah,
I'm not making minimum wage, dealing with the same kind of pain in the butt that I was when I was in my teens and 20s. So I'm a little bit removed from it now, but it's still the basic kind of core principles of the film still work for me. I think
yeah. But I think that
Go on, sorry.
I think no. I think like sometimes those simple films. I mean, the premise is simple. Obviously, not a lot happens. They are sometimes like some of the most rewatchable films because like if there's something that's like really I use like an old favorite of mine, which if we were doing top five lists, 5-6 years ago, probably would have been in my like top five films. Is like Inception, like
Mm,
those films that are just like, like you do get to know them too well, and then you're just kind of like, I don't know, you're waiting for the film to hit certain beats, you're waiting for like
mm,
big action sequences and things like that. Whereas like those films that are kind of like a bit more consistent with tone and an output, I almost want to say. I don't know if that's the best way
mm.
to describe that, but like it's kind of like why The Office is so brilliant, because
Yeah,
you don't watch The Office to just be like, oh, I just can't wait to get till like Pam and Jim's wedding or
yeah.
something like a big you just watch it for like the day-to-day interactions.
I actually don't want to get to Pam and Jim's wedding. I'm like, let's enjoy the flirtation. Let's enjoy like the kind
Mm,
of the will they won't they of it all. Um,
yeah.
and I agree, and I think that's probably why I don't really have any superhero films in my top 5 list or even my top 10 list. It's not because I don't like superhero films. Obviously, I'm mad about them. Like a lot of the time, I think of just kind of like key moments. I'm like, oh, I just want to see, like, I after Batman vs Superman first came out, there were clips on YouTube, and I would just watch the Batman vs Superman fight over and over again. I wouldn't watch the other parts of the film, and now obviously I've gone back and I quite enjoyed that film. Or same with Civil War, I would just go back to the airport scene. Like, I just want to watch that scene.
Mm,
That's so cool to watch. And even recently with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I put the Blu-ray on a couple of weeks ago. just because I wanted to see John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. I was just going to watch these like Mr. Fantastic scenes and watch Wanda kill all the Illuminati.
Yeah,
Um,
just destroy
yeah,
Patrick Stewart.
yeah, and again, like not that I don't like those films and won't watch them in full, but sometimes I just need to see it like a snippet. But something like Clerks, I'll just put it on, and it's still one of those films where even though I know it beat for beat and not line for line, but pretty close, I'll never like the phone goes down. Like
Yeah.
we sometimes sometimes we have to remind ourselves to put the phone away because we get a little bit distracted. But like with Clerks, even though I've seen it probably 20 plus times, the phone goes down, and for the next 90 minutes, I'm just watching that movie. If you would have watched on streaming, is that right?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
On the Blu-ray and even on the DVD as well, there's a really fantastic documentary called The Snowball Effect, and it's about a 90-minute documentary about how the film came to be. Just as entertaining and inspiring as the film itself, like as enjoyable. I'll often watch those two as a double feature. I'll
Yeah.
often watch Clerks and then go watch The Snowball Effect as well because it's just really fun and enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I'd be keen to. Is that like around on any streaming services or like on you? Can you like get on YouTube or anything like
You
that?
could probably find on YouTube, I reckon.
Yeah, nice
But
one. And so, like, obviously, you've lived in that Clerks culture a bit, obviously, way more than I have. So, like, what was the impact of that? Because it's a small film, but like, I guess, like, what was that like a festival darling when it came out, or did it actually have a massive release, or did it find like a second life on on video? Sorry.
Yeah, so when the film was made, when they finished filming it, they entered in something called the Angelica Film Festival, which was in New York. And they got the Sunday morning slot, and they were like, "Oh, this is great! Like Sunday, everyone's coming." 3 people showed up. Like it died. The festival that's meant to make everything change, it died. And Kevin Smith was like, "Well, I guess I'll go back and work at the convenience store and find a way to pay off $27,500 of credit card debt because he funded the film through credit card fraud." And then like randomly a couple of weeks later, he got a phone call from some old man and was like, "Hey, do you have a copy of that movie that played? Because I'd really like to watch it again and show some friends." And he thought he was getting pranked because like by some friends who were like, "Oh, your movie didn't work," or whatever. But he's like, "Yeah, I get it." And then suddenly, like one of the few people who was at the screening was actually part of the selection panel for the Sundance Film Festival. And so then like it just started to go around to his different critics and people on selection panels. And then they found a film rep, and the guy was like, "Look, I love this movie, but there is no audience for this film yet. Like, this film is a bit ahead of its time. Like, which is true. You didn't have adult comedies like Clerks before Clerks. You don't get to 40-year-old virgin that Clerks.
Yeah.
Which
It's a really good point you make. I mean, I can't think of a film before this, before like 94 of like just like guys are talking smut, which pretty much like is the groundwork for, you're right, like 40-year-old virgin, Knocked Up.
Yeah.
Just like those, yeah.
And Judd Apatow has said that, and even Seth Rogen. Like, and Seth Rogen went on to make a film with Kevin Smith years later. Zach and Miri make a porno, but they all said like, without Kevin Smith, we might not have made the films. Like, Superbad comes from watching Clerks. But yeah, so the guy was like, "Look, there's not an audience for it, but we can take it to Sundance. We can get some people to see it, and maybe people will be interested in working with you on your next movie." And then like through this kind of chain of events, and they talk about this a lot in the documentary as well, but Miramax ends up buying Clerks, and he gets like a 5-picture deal with them. So before he signed the deal, he'd already kind of spoken with Universal, and they helped him make Mallrats, which I don't like as much as Clerks. I don't think it's a bad film. It is quite fun, and it's most people's gateway. Like, most people see Mallrats before Clerks. It's fun. I just prefer Clerks. And then he goes on to make Chasing Amy, which is a real indie darling. Like, it does really well at the Independent Spirit Awards. It was like less than 10 votes shy of being Oscar nominated. It brings the world attention to Ben Affleck, which then leads into Good Will Hunting. Kevin Smith helped produce Good Will Hunting. And then he goes on to make Dogma, which is as good as Clerks, maybe, like, in terms of what I like of his films, at that same level, which is a very religious satire, but really well done. Has like Alan Rickman and stuff, like really high caliber actors in it.
Yeah. I'm just looking through the cast and pictures of Mallrats on IMDb.
So
Wow,
that's
Shannon Doherty.
Shannon Doherty's in it. It's one of Jason Lee's first movies. It's one of Ben Affleck's first movies. Claire Forlani, who really had a huge career in the 90s and 2000s, and I had a huge crush on when I was a teenager. It's got, oh my goodness, what's the guy's name? He plays Yondu. Michael Rooker.
Rooker, yep.
Yeah, he's in it. He plays he plays this crazy dad who's very angry.
What do I know Claire Forlani from?
Oh, like a bunch of like, yeah, as I said, 90s and 2000s like thrillers. Like I think she might have been in Meet Joe Black or something like that. She's been in a few. Beautiful actress. Like just, as I said, I had a major crush on her when I was a teenager. I was like, could she just be in everything?
So forgive this if this is like kind of sacrilege.
No, not at all.
Is Mallrats? I'm just looking at a very high level here. Is Mallrats like almost like a bigger budget do-over? I'm just reading synopsis, and it just kind of feels like it's another like hang, just a hang.
He went to Universal Studios and they're like, "What do you want to make next?" And he's like, "Mallrats." And they go, "What is it?" He goes, "It's Clerks in a mall." Like that was his pitch. He goes, "It's Clerks in a mall," and like, "Great, Clerks worked. Let's make Mallrats." And then Mallrats tanked to the box office, but had a huge release on video. Like did really well on video. He actually, his entire career has been very much successful because of home video. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed Clerks, because it's not necessarily a tough film, but there's a lot to ask of an audience. It is getting close to 30 years old. It'll be 30 years old next year, or sorry, not next year, in 2 years' time. It's black and white. It's low budget. There's no actors in it. It's really crass. And whilst that's more common in film now, I would still say it's more vulgar and rude than most adult comedies that come out today.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, like it's pretty full on. But I think it's one of those films where I think if you can get past a few of those things, you can just kind of put them to the side. There's so much to get out of it. It's really enjoyable. There's just some really like fun jokes. Like I love like the guy doing the egg tests.
And it was just so like you just reminded me then of just something that's like, again, just so relatable. It's like old women who like need to check for like some magical date on the milk. And it just reminded me of like that's exactly what my mum does. Make sure like everything that she buys is like the furthest date, as if you need milk that's going to go longer than like a week anyway.
There's a lot to enjoy, and if you liked it, which it sounds like you really did, I could not recommend part 2 enough. Like Clerks 2 is
Clerks 2.
It's something of a magic trick. It shouldn't work because Clerks is so unique and original and works on so many levels. You're like, well, how can you sequelize this? And like when it came out, they're like, oh, it's in color, it's high budget, it's got Rosario Dawson in it. Like this is the opposite of Clerks, but it works really well. And there's a fantastic new character called Elias, who is the absolute heart of that film. Like, without giving too much away, he's a Christian teenager who loves Transformers, and it works so well. But yeah, so that's awesome. I'm so glad you dug it because I was like, it's very possible he'll hate this, and rightly so if he does. But
no, I really enjoyed it, and like I could imagine you've had a hard time selling that to people, and I know what it's like when people aren't buying what you're selling. I mean, it happens to me with music all the time. I mean, there's not something we talk about a lot, but I'm like a real passionate music person, and so there's like some things where I'm just like, this is incredible. Someone please just like this, and you're trying to sell stuff, and it's just a bit too niche. So I'd imagine you've had a bit of a tough time over the years just trying to get people across the line.
I just never really tried. Like it's interesting. Like you would think that because it's such a personal film to me that I would have tried to push it on people, but really I've just like I showed Tina, and as I said, she kind of was kind of like, nah, that's fine. Like she could go and take it or leave it, which is fine, by the way. Like it's a challenging film, in certain areas, but I just never really pushed it on people. What I actually did instead was I just used it as a bit of a lightning rod, and if other people had seen it, then I probably knew that I'd like them. Like when I worked at McDonald's in Essendon, I was talking to a guy one day, my friend Tom, who I used to do a podcast with. And this is before we were really friends. We just started working together, and he's like, "I saw on Facebook you're writing something. Um, what's it about?" I was like, "Oh, I goes about it's kind of like similar to this movie called Clerks. I don't know if you would have heard of it." And he goes, "You're kidding." He's like, "I love Clerks," and like now we're friends to this day because like we just bonded over Kevin Smith and Clerks. My friend Avril, who I think you may have met once or twice, who
Yeah, don't know. Have I?
she's a little bit older. She's very punky, has like a mohawk and stuff. You may have met her once. She was definitely at my 30th birthday party.
Okay.
Um, but when she interviewed me for a job, she was like, what movies do you like? And I was like, well, I really like horror. But I'm a big Kevin Smith fan, which I guess like some like that might hurt me in this particular application. But big Kevin Smith, like Clerks, is like my favorite film. And she's like, you've got the job, don't worry about it. Like, and
Yeah.
we're friends to this day as well. It's one of those ones where
Yeah,
it's
it's
kind of
a
like
bit of a measuring stick.
yeah, but I would never force it on someone. I would never push on because it's
Mm,
not. Yeah,
mm,
like you said, there are challenging things in it. It's not for
yeah.
everyone. Like my dad, when I worked in the video store, he saw Clerks 2 on the shop. He goes, "Oh, this any good?" And I was like, "I loved it. You'll hate it." He goes, "Okay," and then he rented it, and then he got 15 minutes. He goes, "That was trash." I was like, "It's not my fault. You watched it. I told you not to. I told you you'd hate it. Like you don't like cursing or dirty jokes. It's not for you."
Yeah.
And same with Clerks. I would never push it on anyone. Like it's a very acquired taste. But I'm really
Yeah.
glad you dug it. Because yeah, it's one of those ones that isn't for everyone. So and now I wonder like whether you've got the taste and we're like, oh, maybe I'll try some more Kevin Smith or not.
Yeah, well, I mean, I really haven't watched many of his films. You may name some that I'm like, oh, wait, maybe I have. But apart from Tusk and now Clerks, I actually don't think, obviously, I haven't seen Clerks 2, haven't seen Mallrat, haven't seen Chasing Amy, haven't seen, I assume he directs the Jay and Silent Bob films, or is that just.
Yeah, he's written and directed every one of his films. The only one he hasn't written was Cop Out, which is fine. It's not a bad film, but yeah, Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Jersey Girl, which is hugely underrated. People like tore that film to shreds because around the first time there was Ben Affleck. Obviously, Ben Affleck and J Lo just got married um, again, or they got back together. But the first time around, people shredded it. Jersey Girl is a wonderful film. I loved it when I was 18 years old, and when I watched it last year as a father, it like tore me to shreds because it's such a beautiful. Like it's all about like a single dad. Not that I'm a single dad, but like just it's all about being a father. Clerks 2 is great. Zack and Miri gets better with age. The first time I saw it, I was going,
No, I've seen that. I just didn't realize that was a Kevin Smith film.
yeah. So Zack and Miri, then Cop Out, then Red State, which I love. Red State's really good. Tusk, Yoga Hoses, Jay and Silent Bob reboot, and now Clerks 3. So he's done like 15 films.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, isn't it crazy to think what can launch a successful career? I mean, this like $27,000 black and white film, and then 15 films later.
Yeah, well, like he made it, I think a year or two after El Mariachi, which was Robert Rodriguez's first film, and that was a $7,000 movie.
Oh wow!
And then he went on to do like Sin City and Spy Kids and Machete and The Faculty and all sorts of wonderful films.
Yeah. I wonder how much of that. You probably know more about this phase of cinema than I do, but how much of that entrepreneurial filmmaking spirit all comes from like Reservoir Dogs and what Tarantino did? Because Reservoir Dogs would have been what, a couple of years earlier.
Well, they were the video store kids, so that was the video. Like Robert Rodriguez, I'm pretty sure, but not 100% sure. Worked in a video store. Quentin Tarantino worked in a video store. Kevin Smith worked in a video store. Like they were video store kids. And Clerks exists because of El Mariachi and Reservoir Dogs and Slacker, which is a film by Richard Linklater. It was one of his first films. Like those three films, he was like, oh well, if they can make low budget films, especially Slacker, which is very similar in tone to Clerks. Apparently, I haven't watched Slacker, but it's on my list of things to watch. He's like, if they can do it, then I can do it. He's like, Robert Rodriguez said, I've got a bus, a guitar case, and a turtle. I'm putting them in my film. He's like, with Clerks, I've got a whole convenience store, so I can just set my whole film there. So yeah, it was those. So I don't know if Tarantino was first. I think Linklater might have been first. I think Slacker is like 91. And then Reservoir Dogs and El Mariachi, I think, in 92 and 93.
But I think from from what I understand, I think Reservoir Dogs was like the Tinder, that lit that like that indie fire, like the way that just went gangbusters.
Definitely. Like, because before that, I think he'd written True Romance. I think True Romance predates Reservoir Dogs, if I remember correctly. Maybe by
I need to check this, and I'm not doubting you, but for some reason I just have True Romance as being a more modern film. I don't know if that's just
I thought
because
True Romance was 91.
I'll tell you very, very quickly.
93. And Reservoir Dogs, is it that 92?
I think 92.
Yeah, 92. Okay, so I was wrong.
Having said that, he may have written True Romance before.
And I think he wrote Killing Zoe as well, which was also a 93 film. So he was doing a lot in a short period of time. Like Tarantino was, I mean, Kill Bill, the first draft of Kill Bill was like 1995 or something. Like he had a lot of things going on for a while. But those are like those two, Rodriguez and Tarantino, like were the launching point, I think, of a lot of those movies and filmmakers in the 90s. And then there's a wonderful moment on the Clerks 2 documentary where he shows Clerks 2 to Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez. And he's like, we were all in this together in the beginning, and now I'm showing you this movie. And they're like just kind of providing their review and like their editing suggestions and stuff. And you just see there's three like filmmakers just like doing their craft. You're like, this is awesome. Like if you're into that stuff, it's so cool to see. So yeah.
I don't know if I'd want advice from Tarantino. Like, I just don't feel like he'd be.
He's like, put more feet in it.
But I can't imagine he's like got the interpersonal skills to deliver any sort of negative feedback. You know, how you sometimes have to soften it and say, well, there was something really good about it. Maybe I might make a slight change there. He'd just be like, well, this doesn't work.
You're probably right. But I think like if it was Tarantino saying, I'd be like, okay. Like, thanks. Awesome.
What am I going to argue?
Like stars in your eyes, like, yeah, you're right. This sucks. Like, that's great. I'm really glad that you dug it. And yeah, as I said, like you could have come in and been like, look, I don't know what you were thinking, man. This is not for me at all. And I'll be like, you're right. And but you come in with the positive, I'm like, yeah, you are. Like, you're right. Like it all still works out. Nice one. Did you say you'd brought some questions as well to the show this time around, or?
I did not say that. Sorry to let you down. I, in fact, said the opposite. I came so unprepared.
Remember how I told you that my memory is a sieve with big holes in it?
Yeah. I can make up questions on the spot. I can't guarantee their quality, though.
No, that's okay. That's absolutely fine. I just thought if we had, because I wasn't sure how long the Tinker Tailor and Clerks talk was going to go. But nice one. What have you been watching this year? We talked about. I'm at the 100 or technically 140, but the 100 new films. I don't even just in TV. But what's your movie journey been like this year?
Oh man, it's been sorely lacking actually. Like I'm quite behind on. I think I told you that I had watched Doco Strango.
We talked about that last time briefly. We did a whole Marvel thing last time,
but then I did not see. I can hear someone celebrating a Richmond goal, by the way, from my apartment. Sorry, it's very distracting. Did not see Thor, so I'm a bit behind on the old Marvel. I think I told you I saw The Northman.
Yes, we just talked about it before. Yeah,
and then partly because I spoke to you, and for some reason we were talking about Troy, and then partly because my brother had some spare time and had rewatched Troy. I went back into this weird swords and sandals era of like early 2000s films. So I rewatched Troy. I really enjoyed it. Like,
it's really good. Did you watch the extended cut? Like the 3-hour cut?
Nah, I don't think I saw the 3-hour cut. I would love to have got my hands on it, but I think because I found it on streaming, you're kind of at the mercy of, like, you can never find an extended cut on streaming services.
Well, I'd never seen the extended cut before until I purchased it from the UK. I didn't even realize it was the extended cut until it arrived. I'm like, oh, this 2 hour 45-minute film is now 3 hours. And I was like, oh, I hope this is as good as I remember it is. And thankfully it was. It's really enjoyable.
Yeah, and like just I was almost tinged with sadness watching it because I really enjoyed it, and I did just think, they don't make these anymore. These like I don't know how much it cost. It was a pretty expensive, epic film.
Yeah.
It's not designed to like lead into more like a series or anything like that. Just a one-off with like big names all around. Like
Yeah, they don't have
obviously,
the Trojan cinematic universe or anything like it.
That would have been sick. Just like the adventures of Brian Cox as like whatever
Yeah,
Roman Empire.
Agamemnon begins.
Yeah, that's it. Dr. Agamemnon.
And the Mesopotamia of madness.
Yeah. But I was like, wow, I've forgotten how many people are in like Sean Bean's obviously in it. And then who plays Mad Eye Moody? I can't think of his name.
Yeah, Brendan Gleeson.
Gleeson's in it.
Just fantastic in everything. Like, and that's not like a hot take. Like, I think a lot of people read it, but you just never hear people talk about Brendan Gleeson enough. Like, he's just somehow he remains charming no matter how like horrible he is in a movie. He's just so fun to watch.
And he's got a face like a smacked ass. He's just got those rough faces. So yeah, and obviously like you know what? Actually, the other thought I had while watching it is, how did Eric Bana not leverage Hector of Troy into an A-list career? I know he's very successful, and I personally love Eric Bana. Like I love him in everything. Like he's great in The Dry. If anyone has seen the Australian film that came out last year, I think. But like I was just like, wow, I can't take my eyes off Eric Bana as in this. Like, how did this not catapult him to being like Chris Hemsworth is now, as an Aussie star, like literally an A-list star in the biggest movies?
I wonder if it comes down to film choice. Like, maybe that's what he wanted. Like, he's been in, like, he was in Munich. He's in like that Hulk movie. And that Eric Bana Hulk film is actually really great. Like, he got a lot of criticism at the time, but it's solid. But I just wonder whether it was more he just preferred to those quieter ones. Like someone similar, and in terms of career progression, I would say is Rosario Dawson. Like, she's an actress who, like, everything she does, she's brilliant in. Like, she's such a wonderful actress. Never had an Academy Award nomination. Like, never had a win. Like, isn't like in all the big films, but really should be. Like, and same with Eric Bana. Like, I don't understand why he's not in. Why isn't he in like Jurassic World, or actually he'd be great in a Jurassic Park film.
Yeah, he would be.
As soon as I said that, I was like, oh my goodness, like make that happen now.
Yeah, but it just I couldn't fathom it. It's such a great character that I was just like, he could have been anything. But and so from there I moved on to a movie I hadn't seen before, which was Kingdom of Heaven.
How's that? Because I've never seen that either. Another Orlando Bloom film.
Yeah, it is, and I specifically sought out a director's cut of that because I'd heard that the theatrical cut was only okay, but the extended edition was the one you needed to watch.
I've heard this as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I must say I didn't get through it all, but that's not through lack of enjoyment. It's very, very long, and I was watching a couple of these films over a weeknight, and so I had to just like pause it, and I just haven't picked up the second half of it yet, which I fully intend to do. But that was really great as well. It's a Ridley Scott film, and it just struck me as like the thinking man's Troy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot more like philosophical, and so that's French. I don't know if they're Legionnaires, but they're so basically Liam Neeson rocks up to this French village right at the start of the film and basically tells Orlando Bloom, "Oh, you're my long lost son. You're coming with me." And then they go to Jerusalem to fight in the Crusades.
Oh, wow.
Has Eva Green in it, who is a podcast favorite of ours from way back.
I mean, she's just To say she's brilliant is understated. Like, I don't. Some of the film choices she makes, you should be like, and I've gone on record. There are no bad films. If every film is someone's favorite film, then there can be no bad films. But she's made some questionable choices that would tank other actors or actresses' careers. But somehow, like, she's just so enigmatic, so like brilliant to watch. She could be like Tommy Wiseau could have cast her in The Room,
Yeah.
and she would still shine.
Yeah.
Um, and and obviously, I was talking about Claire Forlane before, but just like another like true like screen beauty where you just like people like this should not exist.
Yeah,
Like
that's right.
it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
so stunning, and
There's a on a graph, like talent and blessed genetically,
yeah,
and like some of us are high on one, some of us are high on another, some of us are low on both.
yeah.
There's some annoying people out there who are high on both.
Um, and
So yeah,
she's my favorite Bond girl. Like Vesper Lynn, like what a great character and what a
yeah,
great twist. And I don't know if I told you that I finally watched No Time to Die, but like just have that character still like tie into the end of that movie, like that
yeah.
series. Um,
Did you
but
enjoy No Time to Die?
I loved it. It's not my favorite Bond. It's probably somewhere in the middle. I'd probably go, and like not because it's so bad. It just Skyfall and Casino Royale are pitch perfect. Like
It's pretty great.
I would go. I would
Like,
go. I think I'd go Casino Royale first because I just think it's like that might be a perfect film. I can watch Casino Royale again and again and again and again, no problem.
that's
Yeah.
that's probably one of the few annual watches. Like, I just will watch that every 12 months.
Mm. And then after that, I'd rank Skyfall. Skyfall, I think, is just it's brilliant in its approach. I've heard some recent commentary where people are kind of like, it does some weird things, like, they just kind of make Money Penny a secretary, and like it's a bit sexist and stuff. But Bond films are sexist.
Yeah.
Like you can't like I'm not saying that like, hey, we shouldn't improve this. And I think they do improve that with the new one, like having the new Bond step in and stuff. Like they are working to, show some equality there. But at the same time, you can't like tear down Skyfall for being sexist, but Doctor No is brilliant. It's like no. Like all the Bond films are at least a little bit sexist. He's a womanizer. Like that's
Mm.
kind of the point of the film. But Skyfall, just the idea to take a character like James Bond, who is meant to be the best, and have him just struggle with the fact that he's getting older. Like,
Mm.
what a great concept. I wish they had to put that in The Mummy. I've said this a million times, like Tom Cruise, The Mummy. All he does for the whole movie is just show everyone how young he is. I'm like, no. He has the curse of immortality within reach. Isn't it more interesting if a guy who's worried about getting older has that within his reach? Wouldn't that be a more interesting story? Anyway, I'm getting
Yeah.
tangentially off track. But so I would go Casino Royale, Skyfall, then No Time to Die. I've only seen Spectre once, so
Yeah, and Spectre is better than
Quantum of Solace.
Quantum of Solace. So yeah, you're probably on the same. Like, if I could suggest you put Spectre 4, then Quantum 5, then you and I are the same.
That's kind of where I am feeling, and I don't think Quantum of Solace is a bad film. Like a lot of people were disappointed because it's quite short as well.
Yeah.
But if you watch it back to back with Casino Royale, it's a much more enjoyable watch. Also, like it benefits from being watched with its predecessor.
Well, it's kind of Casino Royale 0.5,
Yeah.
So I just don't know if it had enough going for it to be a film in its own right, if that makes sense.
Mm. Yeah, and it is one of those films that kind of feels like, even though it's well made and it's interesting and it is quite short, it still feels a bit slow. It does take a little while to move.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I just that series is like it's a pretty solid series. Like even with do you know what I mean?
But
like it doesn't make too many missteps.
I also think, like, could anyone even name the villain in like the actor who plays the villain? No offense to that guy, he's great in that film, but I just mean it's bad luck to be sandwiched in between Mads Mikkelsen and Javier Bardem as Bond villains.
Oh.
Like, it's just this is like bad timing on your part.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But the only other film I want to talk about was a film I sent you a trailer of many, many moons ago. We were standing in your back garden, and I had mentioned that I saw a cool trailer for a film called Caveat. May not remember it because it was literally going back like 9 to 12 months. And it's a little independent Irish horror film, and the budget could not be more than $100,000.
That's like the perfect budget to me.
So Caveat, Caveat.
Ben Kaplan and Jonathan French?
Yes. And there is absolutely no fat on this film. So it starts with just a conversation between the two main characters, and the gist is that our main character has just woken up from with a bit of amnesia from a traumatic brain injury. We don't know what it's from, and his friend is telling him, "Oh, you don't remember me," and so the guy's released from hospital, and he's at a bit of a loose end, and and his friend says, "Look, my niece she lives alone in this remote house. She's got, I think she's schizophrenic, and I need someone there to just babysit her for 5 days. I'll pay you £200 a day. All you have to do is just go, make sure she's okay," kind of thing. And so, bang, cut to them sort of arriving, and then his requests get even more outlandish. So he's like, "Oh, she can get a bit paranoid. She doesn't like anyone to come into her room. Can you wear this?" And it's this sort of leather vest that has a chain attached to it, and the chain it's like tied to this like peg in the basement kind of thing. So A, you can hear him rattling around everywhere.
Yeah.
And B, it means he sort of like can't get into her room and things like that. And I obviously don't want to spoil it, but it gets very creepy very fast. And I think it's like a great example of like on a shoestring budget, it's more often what you don't see that is like what's truly terrifying. So strong recommendation.
Yeah, it sounds pretty creepy. I was just having a bit of a read of it on IMDb while you're talking. It just visually, just from what I can see, I was like, this looks really unsettling. Those are the best ones. Those low budget, like single room, or not too many rooms. Like Ex Machina, I love because 3 people in a room, like just and who can trust who. The Disappearance of Alice Creed. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. That's got old mate Eddie Marsan in it, who shows up in a couple of the Edgar Wright films.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Him and a younger guy abduct a young woman played by. She was the Bond girl in Quantum of Solace, actually.
What's her name?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of her name as well. It's
I'll look it up while you're talking because I know exactly who you're talking about.
And they kidnap her and like kind of hold her for ransom, and then she kind of weasels away free and kind of uses her feminine wiles to kind of trick them into letting her go. But that's a really interesting one. Creep, which is on Netflix, which is Mark Duplass.
Gemma Arterton.
Yeah, what a great actress.
Sorry, Creep.
Creep is Mark Duplass. That's that one's on Netflix. It's about a guy who's like, I think he's like, I'm dying. I want someone to come and film me in my last 24, 48 hours just so I've got something for my family to see or whatever. And then like he just starts making weird requests, and he's like, this is like a wolf costume that I wear. Like, watch me dance. Like, it just gets weirder and weirder. That's a great little low budget kind of, and it's not scary, but it's really weird and creepy. I love all that sort of stuff.
And then, even though this is primarily a movie podcast, can I touch on some TV?
Oh, you're pushing the rules here. No, of course you can.
So I've been trying, as I mentioned to you, I've been trying to clear a backlog of TV shows. So I've been trying to smash through those kind of short, limited series that are only 6 to 8 episodes where you can kind of like bang them out in a few nights. So I recently checked out The Old Man, which is on
Jeff Bridges?
an FX show, with Jeff Bridges. Really fantastic. So it's Jeff Bridges and John Lithgow are the two.
What a pairing.
Yeah. And their dialogue is just like so, like it's electricity when both of those guys are firing. And so Jeff Bridges plays a sort of, I don't want to say a retired kind of CIA operative because he's off the grid kind of thing. He's not retired. He's just sort of like disappeared and lives a peaceful life. And all of a sudden these special ops guys show up and try and take him out. and so he sort of goes on the run, and it's about him sort of tracking down who's found him, what's their reason for kind of like trying to kill him. It is the action for like a couple of old fellas.
Yeah.
I mean, John Lithgow doesn't really get involved in the action, but Jeff Bridges, how they do some of those stunts is truly incredible.
Yeah.
Another highlight recently was Blackbird, which
This
features
is the Taron Egerton film, show.
Yeah, really, really worth checking out. So, just a quick synopsis. So he plays a bit of like a smarmy drug trafficker, like I wouldn't call him a dealer. Yeah, I guess like an importer or something like that. And he gets put in jail for 10 years in the first episode. So that's not really a spoiler. And then the FBI come to him and say they'll commute his sentence. So they'll let him out if he is prepared to transfer to this maximum security prison and like basically befriend a serial killer who is potentially going to walk on appeal. So to try and get him to reveal like the location of his victims and stuff like that. And it's really tense, as most jail dramas tend to be.
Yeah. There's not many of those lighthearted jail dramas.
No. Maybe Oz would be the only comedy in that range. So, and you know what? Taron Egerton is great. Like, Kingsman, I don't know if there's enough for him to do to be great, you know, because the movie just sort of, it looks fantastic. There's a lot
that first movie is really good though.
Like it's just, yeah. So I don't mean that as a negative. I just mean
no. It's not a performance piece. It is.
But he's incredible in this. Like the charisma when he's like, because that's the reason he's sort of selected, is that he's like got all this charisma and people want to open up to him. But then like the vulnerability and like it's really performative in that sense where he is. It's like acting on those couple of different levels, you know. He's got a sort of like, you can see the vulnerability, but then the bravado that he has to layer on top of that. So, no, really fantastic.
Did you ever watch Eddie the Eagle?
No.
It's great. Like, it's really good.
Yeah. I feel like that just, I don't know why I haven't seen it. It just feels like that would be a feel-good film.
It is. I just remember like one morning, I think it was the year I watched the 365 films. And when I say 365, I definitely watched 370. But and then not like the year before I got to 380. Can you imagine if I had free time, how many movies I could watch? I could knock out 700. But I just pulled it up on one morning. I was like, I was something light this morning. I've been watching pretty heavy stuff. I was like, Eddie the Eagle, I'll give it a go. I like Taron Egerton. And like, I reckon I cried for like 40% of that movie. Like, it's so like well intended, like so beautifully done. He's just like a kid with so much hope, even though he's no good at what he's doing. Like, and the relationship between him and Hugh Jackman is really brilliant. So it's wonderful, and that's a better showcase of his ability. Like even Rocket Man, which I quite enjoyed. I don't think there's more he can do.
Yeah, I thought he was really great in Rocket Man, but again, I don't know if that's. I mean, I don't know. I'm a bit like, I don't know. I think got bombarded with biopics, you know, over the last few years. So it's kind of just like, nice one.
I think I preferred Rocket Man to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah. I started that and I just didn't even get through it. So yeah,
Bohemian Rhapsody is a fine film, but it's just one of those ones that it gained a lot of traction. A lot of people are just like, it's the greatest film of all time, and it's fine. Like the performances are really good, but it's just, I think it's one of those films that got caught up in the hype. And when I watched Rocket Man, my expectations was significantly lower, not because I thought it was gonna be a bad film, but just like I just I'd heard a lot of like. That film exists because Elton John wanted to exist. Like there weren't people being like, "Hey, we need to make the Elton John movie." He was like, "Hey, you need to make the Elton John movie." And originally, I can't remember who he chose, but the original person he wanted to play, I think he wanted Tom Hardy to play him at one point. And people were like, that's like a weird, like it's a very interesting choice to play Elton John.
Yeah.
But when they got Taron Egerton, I was like, that's a pretty good choice actually, like really interesting. And I didn't know this until recently, but Taron Egerton is also Welsh. I thought he was British, but he's
Taron. Now you say that. Like that's either just like one of those out there English names, or that's a normal Welsh name. So it's like, and then I mean, I've like watched a bunch of TV. The only other thing I'll mention is I recently just caught up on the 4th season of Westworld, which I don't know if you're a watcher, but that show is wild.
I
It
haven't.
is.
I haven't finished season 2.
Man, so much happened. Like if you draw like if you just like were to plot out where each season finishes, that is not any sort of graph that's going to make any sense. It is so like I mean, I actually would say that the quality does vary. Like there were some episodes in season 4. I'm like, like what are you doing with this show? But just the concepts that they explore and the story they're trying to tell, that's wild, man.
Well,
It is wild.
I remember we were watching season 1 and we loved it, and it was challenging and it was difficult, but we were like, we're on top of this, and the payoff at the end was brilliant. I remember we got 3 episodes into season 2, and I was like, this show's trying to be smart, like for the sake of being smart. I have no idea what's going on, and Tina was the same. We're just like, yeah, we will come back to this later.
Yeah.
And again, like not bad, like really, really good, but I was just like, I think they're trying to confuse me for the sake of confusing me, and I'm just not smart enough to watch the show anymore. So I just need to like.
Yeah. I found that season 2 was like, we had such massive success with the first season and like the different timelines and like the different reveals and stuff like that. There was like, well, let's double down on it and be like extra, extra clever. And season 3, I thought was the real return to form. I don't think it's seen like that generally. I think season 3 is seen as pretty weak. And then season 4 is just wild. But I think, though, that like throughout the whole thing, what they have had is just incredible performers. And so you've got, like, in the first season, Anthony Hopkins is unbelievable. And then,
Jeffrey Wright, like...
Jeffrey Wright. And then season 2, Thandiwe Newton is...
Sandy Newton's amazing.
Yeah, it's like she's incredible all the way through. And then in this season in particular, Tessa Thompson is like, I'd have never really rated her technically. You know, she's great in what she's in. But like I never thought, she's a great actress. But like she is fantastic in this. So anyway, it's definitely not for everyone. That's the most niche recommendation I have. Like I think more people would not like Westworld than like it, but my God, it's wild. It's a wild ride where it's at.
Nice one. And I guess that is you've done a lot more TV than me. I've been struggling with TV. Not because it's been bad. I've been struggling with the episodic format a lot lately. I'm just like, I just rather knock out a movie. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's really easy for TV to get your list of TV shows to kind of creep up on you as well. Like as I was telling you earlier, like it's, you know, like every time I'd see a show, I thought, that looks really good. I'd add it to this little note, and just before you know it, you know, I've got like 25 shows in there. It's like, what do I watch? Like 3 shows in this 6-month period, you know?
Yeah. I did watch season 3 of The Boys, which I really liked. That was really well done. So I've seen bits and pieces. I just haven't like seen a lot. If we can sidestep from Westworld and use that as a bit of a launching point into the world of HBO, where do you stand on all this Warner Brothers stuff? If we go into some industry news for a little bit.
So actually, I heard that there's a new, I don't know if it's like creative director or CEO, whoever it is at HBO, who is going to potentially like make some cuts. So what's the news?
So this guy, David Zaslav, I think his name is, he stepped in a little while ago, probably in the last couple of months, and has just started cancelling projects left and right. So like the first one to go was Wonder Twins, which I don't think anyone was too upset about. It seemed to like it was going to be very much a Riverdale CW type superhero show. Wasn't quite what they were going for. The big one was Batgirl, which it was all but finished, $90 million film, and like, we're going to cancel it. It's never going to get released. We're going to treat it as a tax write-off. And just today, I was looking online, and the directors went to the servers at Warner Brothers because they wanted to watch it, and all the footage has been deleted. Like, you cannot watch. No version of this film exists anymore.
To me, I can't fathom a world or an industry where there's no value even to just like be like, oh, you know what? when like we're canning a theatrical release, we're just going to pop it onto the streaming services, like as if that wouldn't just keep either attract new or keep some of the people who are engaged in your streaming service for that kind of content. Like I just can't fathom how the best financial decision is to be like $90, 90 million bucks. That's a write-off, you know?
Yeah. So that went. There was a Scooby-Doo movie, which is interesting because the last Scooby-Doo movie was actually pretty fun. It's a CG one. And now Aquaman. No, yeah, Aquaman and Shazam have both been delayed by about 6 months. So they've got no DC film out this year except for Black Adam, which comes out soon.
Yeah, I'm not overly excited for that. Just early, just haven't. The trailers weren't doing much for me.
It's just they're making some really interesting decisions, and like now there's talks that maybe like, well, they just hired a guy. I can't remember the guy's name, and he's going to be like the Kevin Feige of DC. But they've also had like 4 of those.
Yeah,
And I just don't know what's going on with Warner Brothers anymore. And this is not me being like, release the Snyder Cut or anything like that. Like I love the Snyder Cut. If they wanted to keep doing the Snyderverse, I'd be all for it. It's interesting because Ben Affleck is back in this new Aquaman film now that was announced recently. But I just don't know what this studio is doing. And this is arguably the biggest or one of the biggest film studios from the last 100 years. And they don't have a plan. They're just like cutting things left and
yeah,
right. They've been canceling TV shows. There's rumors that both Titans and Doom Patrol are going to get the axe at the end of season 4 of each of these films, which is fine. Like, 4 seasons is good for any show. And if they're going in different directions, but they're just like cutting things left and right, and
yeah,
just don't know what's going on.
yeah. Do you think that's forecasting? Like, obviously, the most recent slate of Marvel films haven't really performed the same way that the previous, say, 5 have. And do you think that's them in some way forecasting for a bit of a change in movie culture over the next 5 to 10 years?
I don't know. I don't know if it's fair to compare the current slate to previous slate for Marvel because the biggest Marvel films were all pre-pandemic.
Mm.
Um, but that being said, like Spider-Man: No Way Home made over $1 billion and is about to go back into theaters with an extended cut now. I think Doctor Strange made over $1 billion. I think Thor: Love and Thunder came close to it, surpassed Ragnarok. I think it came close to $1 billion. So there's definitely an audience out there going to see it. Um, I just don't know what Warner Brothers is doing. Like I feel like
Mm.
there there hasn't really been a plan. And obviously when I talk about Warner Bros, I don't just exclusively mean DC, but we do tend to talk about comic book films quite a bit here. They haven't really I remember they had a plan. Like after Batman, I think it was after Batman vs Superman or before Batman vs Superman came out, like here's our plan. We've just done Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Suicide Squad, Justice League Part 1, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Green Lantern, Justice League Part 2, and like 90% of the films announced at Comic Con were never written, let alone made. Like,
Yeah.
um, and it's just like they just kept like they're like Nightwing's getting a movie, Batgirl's getting a movie, like Blue Beetle's getting like they kept announcing all these things. I was like, hey, just instead of announcing things, like maybe take your time to build your universe, and not only that, don't like make decisions based on maybe the unexpected lower performance of one movie. Like because Batman vs Superman was considered too dark, they were like, well, Suicide Squad needs to be funny, and it's like, and then they made that, they made that movie, which I enjoy that film, like for what it is. Like I don't think it's a terrible film. Like it's, there's some weird decisions in there, but there's definitely some stuff to enjoy in it.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's
But like,
good, but
but
like
then
it's just like there's some stuff that's you can tell that there's like it's Frankenstein's monster because
too
you
many
can tell like
cooks,
there's
too
just
many cooks.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Uh,
just like
Um,
some random jokes like thrown in that are yeah.
And if you watch James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, like they could have made that film in 2016. They could have released that film in 2016 when David Ayer made his Suicide Squad film, but the studio got nervous from the sounds of it, which to me is like I don't understand. Like, why would you hinge an entire franchise on the poor reception of one film? Like
Mm,
Thor: The Dark World is a film that I enjoy quite a bit, but is often considered one of the low points of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Disney weren't then like, well, you know what? let's not do Captain America 2. Let's not do we were going to do Guardians of the Galaxy. We're crazy. Let's not do Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, they just kept pushing forward. They're like, that's okay. Thor 2 will gain appreciation over time, and if not, Thor will show up in other films. And then they did Endgame, and Thor Dark World becomes way more enjoyable because of the context provided by Endgame. Like, they just made interesting decisions there. I don't think the writers at Marvel are any better than the writers at Warner Brothers or DC. They're just backing their directors and backing their decisions to be like, look, Captain Marvel is another one. Captain Marvel is a relatively divisive Marvel film. I like it quite a bit, but I know a lot of people who don't like it. But at the same time, it's like, hey, you got to start somewhere. Like, it's gonna, and you got to. These solo films now, their primary objective is to get these characters into the universe, so then they can be used later on in these crossover events and stuff as well. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Warner Brothers. Like, it's very strange.
Yeah, but I don't know if that marriage of Warner Bros. And HBO or HBO Max has ever been like a match made in heaven, has it? Because when all the Warner Bros. Stuff started going on to streaming, Christopher Nolan was like really not happy. Like, I think he
didn't
refused
like
to. I think he's refused to work with Warner Bros.
Denis Villeneuve was another one who was very upset. Because these guys are filmmakers. They're like, I made this film for the screen. Now, I actually don't disagree with Warner Brothers' decision to put it on HBO Max. It's like, hey, in a world where we might not have theaters open for over a year or longer, because we don't know, because there's a global pandemic, isn't it better that someone sees your film than not at all? So I was actually like, hey, I think it's not a bad idea. And then they, once the lockdown started ending, they're like, you know what? Same day release. We'll still put it in theaters, but we're going to have it on HBO Max as well. That way, for those who, don't feel confident going back out to the public yet, they can still watch your film. So even though I do see Nolan's point and Vanille's point, like, do you want to delay that movie for 3 years so you can get the audience that you were getting before the pandemic? Like, is that maybe like a little bit arrogant? I don't know. Like, maybe, like, I don't know. But so I didn't disagree with that. But yeah, there's obviously been some teething issues there. But it just feels like now, in terms of one of their biggest franchises, they just don't know what they're doing. Like, we had Batman this year, first Batman movie in almost 10 years. Like, in fact, it was 10 years, because Batman vs Superman is a Batman film.
Yeah, that's not really. Yeah, it's not like a Batman film though, is it? It's like more Snyderverse, like Justice League vibes.
Yeah, like also like Civil War, I guess, in a way. Like, it's 2022. We haven't had a Superman film since 2013. Like, how do you, like, arguably two of the most recognizable characters in the world, and we haven't seen them on screen, like, in a solo film in almost 10 years or over 10 years? Like that. Like, again, Ant-Man has had 2 films.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, like, think about that. Like, Groot has his own TV show now. Like, and we can't get Superman in his own movie. Like, and people, like, their excuse is, oh, he's really difficult to write. He doesn't really work. You can't really write Superman in the modern age. You just can't crack the story on Superman. It's like, the Eternals have a movie. Shang-Chi has a movie. Like,
but I would
She-Hulk
argue
has
that,
a show. Like,
I would argue that there's been 2 great, like, like 2 great Superman films, and like both of the Snyderverse Superman films, so like BVS and the first one, they were fantastic.
Oh, great!
And like,
absolutely. But the studio's scared of him now. Like, they're scared to use Superman for some reason. Like, he got a brief, a headless cameo in Shazam. Like,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, maybe we'll put him in. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, and Henry Cavill's not going to wait around forever, and he doesn't need to be Superman. Like, you can recast, but why? It just makes no, like, Aquaman has had 2 films. Shazam's about to get his second film, and I'm not complaining. Like, I love the first Shazam, love the first Aquaman film. How do these characters, who are C and D list characters, getting more movies than Batman?
Yeah.
The most bankable franchise in the world. You put Batman in a movie, profits will immediately rise.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like a Michael Scott seminar on profit.
Yeah. It's just so weird. It's just so strange. I don't know what they're doing.
Actually, quick pivot. Just you mentioned something that you
We can
started.
pivot away. That's why I just want to get your opinion on it. That's also yeah.
No. I was going to say you mentioned before that you'd watched an episode or two of She-Hulk.
Yes,
How's that?
I like it. The first episode to me. First of all, I don't care about the CGI. Like I know a lot of people's criticism was that the CGI is a bit weak. It's always going to be weaker on a TV show than in a movie, no matter what the budget. Like it's always going to just not be quite as good. So that doesn't really bother me. The pacing of the first episode is a bit interesting. It's very much all flashbacks, and there's a lot of Hulk in it, which I'm actually okay. They do a lot of filling in the gaps. Like there's a lot of references to Tony. There's a lot of kind of Hulk talks about what he did between Civil War and Infinity War, and also talks a little bit about his time after Endgame. So that's really cool. They're also definitely setting up something else with Hulk. I won't spoil it for you because I know you'll want to watch it at some point. But they're setting up he's going to have his own storyline soon, like a Hulk-based storyline, which is very cool.
Yeah. Which I'm really glad about because like Mark Ruffalo is a really like I wouldn't say underutilized, but you know what? He's a massive like asset to the MCU. Like I don't think they realize how lucky. Like I mean, they just got lucky. They struck gold with so many of their casting decisions, but him in particular as Hulk is like I think they want to start using him correctly. You know.
Well, he recently said he's like I'll keep playing this character until they tell me I'm done. Like, which is really good. You know. I don't want to pivot back to the DC thing for too long, but I also just wanted to point out that, like, for some reason, like DC just had a really bad track record with actors, like Affleck kind of being kind of on the fence a little bit based on the critical reception. Amber Heard obviously being in some hot water. Ezra Miller obviously having some problems as well. Like, anyway, I just wanted to add that because you were just talking about the lucky casting for Marvel.
It's like it's a flip of a coin, isn't it? You know, like. Have any of the Marvel gang gotten into any hot water? I can't even think of any. Like, which when you're bringing in like Robert Downey Jr., like you know that's a gamble.
Guys, he was waking up in other people's houses and stuff a few years ago. Right. He like what a career resurgence he had. Like he's genius. They've had a little bit. I think like Letitia Wright, who plays Shuri, and Evangeline Lilly, who plays the Wasp. I think they were both quite vocal anti-vaxxers at a certain point, but it hasn't affected the reception of the films. And like at the end of the day, whilst I'm not an anti-vaxxer, like everyone's opinion is their own. Like just don't hurt anyone else and just keep it to yourself, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's very Hulk heavy in that first episode. The first episode, I did think they were trying maybe a little bit too hard to be funny. So I was talking to Tina because Tina didn't want to watch it. She's like, I have no interest in She-Hulk. I was like, really? I was like, this is great. It's a lore show. Like we can get some Hulk, we can get some Daredevil. Like we're going to see some old characters return. I think like this is, she's a strong female character. Like this is like physically as well as emotionally. As Tatiana Maslany, like there's so much going for this show. So we ended up watching the first episode. Yeah, I did think they were trying a bit too hard to be funny, and they don't need to. Like Mark Ruffalo is naturally funny.
Yes, yeah, I would agree with that.
Just like you don't need to give him jokes for him. Like just his reactions are great. Like you can just let him be himself. You've got Jamila Jamil, who only shows up in the first episode for about 3 seconds, but she's also very funny. Like you don't need to. There's no need to force the humor, and also Marvel films are generally quite funny. Like they know how to do it. So if the first episode felt like it was really trying to be funny, but take that aside, there's still a lot to enjoy in it. The second episode I really dug. People were disappointed because it was quite short. I think it was about 23 minutes long, but this was the story really began there. We started seeing some of the characters. There's a nice little reference to Shang-Chi in there. That's not a spoiler because I'm not telling you what the reference was. There's a nice little shout out to Thor Ragnarok. But it's still building the story. It's very much her story now and what her kind of mission is. This isn't a spoiler. It's in the trailers. They're starting up a law division to defend superheroes because now like the public's starting to be like, look, they got to be held accountable. And apparently they're going to bring in the Sokovia Accords in this storyline at some point as well, which is good. Like it'll be interesting to see how the world feels about the Sokovia Accords following Endgame. Like, oh, we didn't like them, tearing down our buildings, but now that they stopped Thanos, I guess they're okay. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, I've enjoyed it. The third episode dropped today. I haven't watched it yet because I worked and then we're recording this obviously. But I'll probably check out the third episode over the weekend. But I'm in. Like it's I'm just waiting for Daredevil. Like that's what I'm here
Yeah.
for. That's what I'm here for with She-Hulk. I'm
Well,
here for Daredevil.
I'm almost I feel almost more invested in the Marvel TV universe at this point than the current cinematic universe. I mean, because I haven't been as up to date as I should have. Like, I still haven't seen Shang-Chi.
It's great. Shang-Chi is. Let me have a think. I'm just trying to think what's been out this phase. So we had Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and Thor. So I would say Shang-Chi is my favorite standalone origin story since Homecoming.
Oh, okay. Wow. Big raps. Yeah. So
I liked it more than Captain Marvel. I liked it more than Black Panther. I really enjoyed it. It was a really good kind of cultural shift. The first 10 minutes of that movie, without spoiling too much, is all in Chinese, which they've never done with a film before where they've gone a language other than English. The martial arts are quite good. Like the end is obviously a CGI fest, like most of these Marvel films, but it's naturally quite funny as well. Yeah, I loved Shang-Chi. I also really, on my second viewing, loved Eternals. Eternals was so much better the second time around. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think what I struggled with Eternals was just not knowing. I'm used to in a Marvel film, kind of knowing which way the direction is going, kind of thing. Whereas Eternals, I was just like, wow, this is a lot of new content to introduce without me really knowing what direction we're kind of going in. So, but I just can't wait till they start to integrate all of the like Daredevil, like the old Netflix stuff into the current TV universe. Like, obviously, we know that means Fisk, which is going to be sick.
Yes,
but
he has showed up briefly in the MCU now.
Well,
so.
yeah, of course, yeah. In what I think is actually the best show.
It's shocking how good that Hawkeye show is.
You know, that's exactly right. It is shocking.
Like, I remember when we started watching it, because I said to Sam, like, there was another one, she was like, well, we'll watch it because it's part of the thing. But, like, she wasn't, like, eager for it. And I was kind of like, look, I like Jeremy Renner, so I'm sure it'll be fun. And, like, we got 2 episodes in, I'm like, this is way better than it should be, right? Like, this is really entertaining.
I was just like, how is it this funny? How does it have this much heart? How is Haley Steinfeld good? You know, no offense to her. I mean, this sounds horrible, but I just mean, like, she's really great in it.
I'm actually with you. Like, I don't think she's a bad actress, but she's just never been my cup of tea. I've just never been like a fan of it. I did like her in Bumblebee, but she's just never been kind of like my go. Like, just someone who's like, you tend to follow actors and actresses in certain things. I've never been like, oh, well, she's in it, I must see it. But then in Hawkeye, she blew me away. And then pairing her up, doubling her against Florence Pugh, like, what a great combination. Yes. Like, just ripe with comedy there. That's a show that should not, has far better than had any right to be. I was like,
that's exactly right. Well, that was the show where my eyes started to roll, because like Hawkeye was like the last in a long line of announcements of like their shows. I'm like, wow, they are milking every, like a show for every occasion now. And yeah, like I think it's been, I really did enjoy the Captain America and the Winter Soldier. No,
great show.
Was that what it was called?
Falcon the Winter Soldier.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, the last title says Captain America and the Winter Soldier, so that's okay.
So I really did enjoy that, but Hawkeye. Who knew?
I've liked them all. There hasn't been a Disney Plus show they've made that I haven't enjoyed. Moon Knight I really enjoyed.
I must say I did struggle with that. Like I haven't finished it. Just I don't know. I had an amazing first episode. I just didn't get me. Just didn't draw me in. Yeah.
Worth sticking with. Like Oscar Isaac is a genius. And the girl, I've forgotten her name.
His Pommy accent is hilarious.
It's really fun. I've been digging it all. So She-Hulk I'm on board for, and I think She-Hulk is the last show. Well, yeah, because now Phase 4 is ending. After this, it's Wakanda Forever, and then there's the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, and then Phase 4 is done.
Can't wait for like the cinematic universe to kick back off again.
Absolutely. And I think next year we'll definitely see that explosion. Phase 5 is an entire year. Like, is it an entire year? It's like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Um, and we start with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which I am very excited for.
Yeah, I'm sure. I hope that's like really trippy, you know.
Yeah, I want to get like some Doctor Strange vibes. Like we've had that in the Ant-Man films in the past, especially that first Ant-Man film where he goes subatomic.
Yeah.
I want way more of that. Like, just let's go into weird microverses and.
Well, there's an like, why wouldn't you set a show in like the subatomic realm? Just like some little like sick like societies living subatomically or something like that. It'd be cool as.
Yeah, I mean, if Ant-Man's having fun riding ants, just imagine him with like little like microbes and stuff.
Yeah, I've got this. This is like a pitch. There's a pitch meeting, right? I've actually got this really sick idea for a show, right? You know, like you're quite familiar with the Star Wars prequels.
Yes, I've probably seen the prequels more than any other Star Wars film.
Yeah. So you know when Obi-Wan goes into that like diner and there's like that thing where he's like,
"You're not going to sell me death sticks."
No, well, yeah, that sort of part of the world, but like I want to set like just a sitcom on Coruscant, like like Becca, but like in Star Wars.
Or like Cheers, like
yeah, like something like that, where it's like, not every Star Wars thing has to just be about like Jedi's and lightsabers. Just like,
well, that's why I love The Mandalorian, because it's a departure from that. That's actually the only Star Wars show I've watched. I haven't watched Book of Boba Fett. I haven't watched Obi-Wan. Like, I'm behind on those as well. I've only watched Mandalorian.
Well, I would recommend Book of Boba Fett because it pretty much doubles as Mandalorian sort of 2.5. It's sort of,
I've heard that.
Yeah, like Mandalorian's in it quite a bit, and it does tie in quite nicely. So I think I would give that a go.
Yeah, nice one. I'll get to it. I'll get to all of them eventually. Just a matter of time. Oh my goodness! I feel like I had some questions for you. I'll have a look, and I'll see if any of them are actually worthy of asking. I wrote them very briefly.
I'm an open book.
They're not really that good. Like, I was going to talk to you about comfort films, but I don't know if we need to really go into that. And I feel like underappreciated movies is probably an episode of its own, just going into the films that people. But do you? Well, I mean, I am interested to know though. Like, obviously, we talked a lot about Clerks early on, and that's not that it's an underappreciated film, but it's just a film that I just don't think a lot of people have seen. Do you have anything like that in your collection or your kind of like list of faves? You're like, you know what, people just don't talk about this film anywhere near as much as I would expect them to. Like, do you have any of those movies?
I reckon I've spoken about one many moons ago on our podcast. Little indie flick set in New York called 5 to 7.
Yeah, so I remember you telling me. I still haven't watched it, but you mentioned it a number of times.
It is a beautiful romance film starring the great and unfortunately late. I think his name's Anton Felch. I don't want to butcher his name. He played Chekhov in the new Star Trek films.
Anton Yelchin.
Yes, yeah.
And is it Melanie Laurent? Is that the one?
No, her name's Bernice Marlowe or something like that. And she's in Skyfall. She's the girl he just like goes into the shower with in Skyfall, and then shoots the thing off. They have to shoot like the shot of whiskey off her head, kind of thing. And it's a stunning film. It's shot beautifully. It really gives you that feeling like you're in New York. The performances are great. And I just don't know why no one's seen it. Like, I'm literally the only person who's seen it. And so that's probably like something I'd champion. It's really like it is an indie film. You can definitely tell that. But no, I would definitely recommend that to our listener.
I love that stuff. That's one thing that I do on the Instagram page is just I try to, like, obviously I'll throw out like big films as well. Like, I did a whole like Marvel thing, but I always try to just like shine a light on films that people maybe haven't heard of and just try to find like those more unique ones, because there's so much out there. There's so much content, like, and I think people are too afraid. I don't know why, but I feel like since the video store went away, people are too unwilling to take a gamble on something they haven't heard of.
Yeah, I think you're right. And that's why I think it is important for, even with a platform, it doesn't matter how many people you're reaching, if, you come across something great like that, to just champion a bit. Because, like, I know for myself, half the shows or movies I watch, I hear about on podcasts. And it takes someone getting enthusiastic about something or telling you, like, why you should watch something to be like, yeah, that sounds really great. Otherwise it's just white noise, isn't it? How are you supposed to be like, how are you supposed to pick a film on movie night from like the 20,000 that you probably have access to at any one time?
And I think we talked about this the last time you were on, or one of the more recent times you were on. You were sort of asking me about the future of cinema, and like you were talking about tentpole films, or those like big summer event blockbusters and stuff. And not taking anything away from them, because obviously I love all movies. So like, give me those blockbusters. But yeah, like there's just so much out there that people aren't watching. And one thing that really frustrates me, I've been talking about this at work a little bit lately, because people know I'm a movie guy now, so they'll ask me for recommendations. I just say, my pet peeve is, like, you shouldn't have an excuse to not watch a film. Like, I don't want to hear like, oh, I can't watch it 'cause it's black and white. Oh, I can't watch it because it's got subtitles. Like, why? Do you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. I've got a friend, and she's lovely, and she's a big movie fan, but she refuses to watch anything that was made before the 90s. I was like, why? Like, there's so much good stuff.
Yeah, I know.
You're not watching Jaws. You're not watching The Godfather. You're not watching, like.
I know. I know some people as well who are in that boat, and I just think it's like what you're prepared to, if you're like a young person today, you are not. Your attention span is not designed for, a certain type of film, and unless you're passionate about it and you want to go and explore it, like, you can't just pop on a Clint Eastwood. You can't put Unforgiven on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's that you're right. Like, it's the attention span. Like, because a lot of people like just don't go in for slow-paced movies anymore.
Yeah.
And look, not every film is for everyone. Like, again, we spent a long time talking about Clerks, and even though I love that movie, I was like, this ain't a film for most people. It's if you like film even a bit, I don't think you should be shutting yourself off from it, because, like, just think about how much you're missing. Like, my biggest problem in life is that I'm never going to watch everything. Like, I'm gonna, like,
but if anyone's got to come close.
Well, I am. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I am trapped in time right now. One thing I didn't tell you was that time stops when you're trapped in the time stream. So if I stay here, I might be able to actually catch up and watch everything. So
it's my dream to be able to pause time.
Yeah.
Just like, but I've started to really, really try and watch with a bit more purpose rather than just have something on and be on my phone. It'll get to like 8 or something like that, and I'll just go put my phone in another room, put it onto charge, get it out of reach. So I'm really just there focusing on what I'm watching, and it's surprising, not really, but it's funny how all of a sudden you start to enjoy and you're more engaged in the stuff you're watching. So
yeah, my thing is I just want to I have to put my phone far enough away that I'd have to get up to get it.
Yeah,
and then I won't get it, because I'm just like, it's not worth it.
Yeah, exactly right.
Like, what am I going to do? Open up Instagram and scroll through for like 30 seconds? Like, it's not worth it.
And it's a really good. It's almost like psychometric testing as well, and I've found it really interesting to understand what types of scenes, what type of conversations in a show have me reaching for my phone, because like I don't think about it when my phone's next to me. It'll just get to a flat spot in a show, or what I perceive to be something that's not stimulating my brain, and then I'll just pick up my phone and you don't even think about it and you just do it. But when you don't have your phone, it's actually really interesting to like my hand will move, and I'll be like, oh, I'm reaching for my phone. What is it about this scene that is not capturing my attention? It's really interesting to see.
Why am I fidgeting now? Like, what is it that's
exactly.
Well, my other thing, and like I guess the curse of the smartphone, is now that we have information at our fingertips, often I'll be like, oh, who's that? You know, I'm digging this performance. What else have they been in? I want to start making a mental
Yeah.
note of what I want to see next. Or like, oh, I just need to know a little bit more about this film. I'm just gonna jump into the trivia for a second, or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, like as opposed to waiting until the end of the movie. Which, by the way, when I go to the cinemas, my phone's off, so like I can wait till the end of the movie and then check out the trivia after the film later.
Yeah.
Like, so what is it? What is it with the home video? The other thing I've started doing now is if I'm watching something and I find myself getting if I'm going to the phone, if I'm really digging the movie, but I still am doing that, I'll pause. I'm like, all right, I got to pause it and now look at the same quickly, and then I'll resume it, which is a really frustrating way to watch a movie.
Oh, yeah. Well, it starts to, like I'm sure you've done this thing where you start a movie or you've got like a few hours to go and you calculate the time you're going to finish it. And then that time just blows out because you've paused it to look something up or do something. Yeah, I can attest to that.
Oh, man. I'm just looking over my collection now. I'm like, what are these? Which underrated gems here aren't people watching? And there's a lot of them. And that's not me being like, I have a genius collection. It's more just me being like, there's so much out there that people aren't watching.
Yeah. And I do, I'd love to enter into some sort of recommendation economy where you kind of like, you would do a recommendation per week, but I just think it's too hard to commit to something like that when you get into your 30s and you have to work for a living.
Well, that's it. Well, look, we'll make the pact now. If the show takes off and we can just make this our career instead, we'll do like a Patreon and we'll do like a couple of shows, and we can do like one called "You Haven't Seen What," and we can recommend stuff.
Yeah.
And
you
then
haven't seen what?
Yeah, that's the voice. I'll record that, and that can be the theme song. And we can also do like a commentary series, because we used to do commentaries, you and I, a little bit.
We love a
Unwanted
good commentary.
The Room. That one went up. I think that was episode 13. That was the episode where I couldn't get anything recorded. So I'm like, listen to Nick and I talk about The Room. You'll love it.
Yeah, classic Brie Larson.
I love that movie, that version of Room. There is a moment in that film that destroyed me, and it was when they first moved back with her parents, and the grandma does something very simple, like puts an apron on him or something, or just like dresses him in clothes, and he looks up and he goes, "I love you, Grandma," and you're just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a beautiful sentiment, like from this innocent boy who's just been trapped in a room for like his entire life. That is a great movie, but that is a tough one to watch.
Yeah, harrowing movie. It's just there's not much positivity in that one.
Yeah, it's sitting down there. It is on the shelf there, but I have not watched it since I saw it the first time. Maybe one day I'll go back to it, because it's like there's so many beautiful moments in that movie, even though it is quite an upsetting and harrowing experience.
I'm excited for you to receive and watch Manhunter.
Yeah, I was saying before we started, I have currently I did a count this morning through my online purchase history, and I've got about 27 movies on their way. Some of which I've seen before, and others, whenever I buy, I generally just pick a few at random. I think the Manhunter, after our conversation, I was like, yep, I'll pop that one on.
Yeah, that's one where like I'd be, and this is not like, I don't mean any judgment in this at all, but just like knowing you, I'd be really surprised if you like didn't dig it, and that'll be totally fine if you don't. But I just feel like you'll like it.
I don't think I have any movies in my collection that I don't like. Like, there are some movies that maybe disappointed me a little bit or weren't quite what I was expecting, but there's nothing on here. There's nothing here I don't like. And in the last couple of years since the pandemic, I've just started taking gambles. I'm just like, you know what? I've been doing the video store thing, where I've just gone. I'm like that. Like, so with horror movies, I'm like, that box art looks cool. I'm gonna give it a go, and it's probably not gonna be anywhere near as good as the box art, but the box art is enough for me where I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
I always try to throw in a few random ones I've never seen before, and just like, or even stuff I've never heard of before. I just purchased one yesterday. Paul Verhoeven, who did Starship Troopers and RoboCop and all those classic kind of violent 80s films, had a movie come out this year called Benedetta, which is about it's like a the sexual awakening of a nun in the 17th century or something. I was like, fine. Like it's Paul Verhoeven and like a nuns. Like that sounds great. Like I'll give it a go.
Who was in that? That sounds really familiar. Did that have like a really strong female cast?
It's a new one. It's only just been released on Blu-ray, so I probably like should have waited till it went on sale. But I was like, I don't care. Like I like Paul Verhoeven. Charlotte Rampling's in it. She's been in a lot. She was in Dexter, and has been in a bunch of films.
Charlotte Rampling's been in stuff for 50 years. Yeah, I've seen stuff.
It's got Lambert Wilson, who plays the Merovingian in Matrix. It's a very much a French cast from the looks of it, but and again, that one was basically based on the box art. I'm like, the box art was cool. I like Paul Verhoeven. It may be way too much for someone like me to deal with, but I'm just gonna give it a go. I love doing that stuff. I love just taking a gamble on movies because there's something. Saint Maud's another one. I picked up Saint Maud a couple of months back. Knew nothing about it other than it was like a British horror film made in 2019, and it had two really horrifying moments in it that I hadn't seen in a film before. Like they stuck with me for so long. And Tina thought it was very funny that I got scared by this movie.
Paul Verhoeven, how's this for a 15-year stretch or so? RoboCop, Total Recall, Basic Instinct, Showgirls, Starship Troopers, Hollow Man, and then there's like a bunch of stuff in the 2000s I haven't really seen, but that is a stretch, man.
He just does sci-fi violence and boobs. That's all he does.
Yeah.
And he does it very, very well. I've actually never seen Showgirls. It's one of those flicks that I keep putting off because I know it's considered a bad film, and I know there's a lot to enjoy about it because it's kind of cheesy and over the top. I just haven't got around to it yet. But even Tina wants to watch it, so like,
yeah, it's not great. I have seen it, and I watched it under the guise of like I watched it with some friends as like a laugh out loud bad movie, and it's just bizarre. But if you enjoy nudity, you'll probably get a lot out of it.
I'm not really into that sort of thing. So
yeah, probably not for you then.
Yeah, but I love like RoboCop. I waxed poetic on in my 80s episode, like one of my favorite 80s films of all time. Total Recall, Basic Instinct is really great, really underrated. Like it's it's always I think sensationalized because of that one scene with Sharon Stone. But it's a solid thriller. It's just one of a slew of erotic thrillers that Michael Douglas was in, where he plays a much older man that just
that's right
to fall over for.
I feel like his sweet spot was like wealthy white middle-aged man caught in like an erotic thriller kind of situation.
Even The Game by David Fincher, which is nowhere near as extreme as that, still has that same kind of sleazy vibe.
Yeah, it's got that energy, that like sleazy energy.
I love Starship Troopers as well. I think Starship Troopers is brilliant.
Maybe that's got to be the next recommendation because I haven't seen it.
Tina hates it. We had to study it in uni. We were in a literature class together, and it's satiring American military propaganda. Like that's what it's doing. But it was just too much for her. She was like, no, it's too full on. But yeah, it's like Casper Van Dien and Denise Richards, and yeah, it's solid. Neil Patrick Harris, I think, is in it as well.
Yeah, yes, he is. I'm just looking at it now. As is a dude called Clancy Brown.
Oh, Clancy Brown, what a great actor! Like he's he's probably most famously now known as the voice of Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob. But he's just like everything I see.
I knew I recognized him. He's fucking Hadley in Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah. He's in everything.
Yeah, I know who he is.
He's great. I've got a lot of love for Clancy Brown.
Yeah, we'll have to do some more. We did top 5 Scorsese, but we'll have to do some like maybe just pick a director and just like go through their back catalog and just talk about each film. There's a lot of directors, like Zemeckis would be a good one to do that with.
Zemeckis is good. Spielberg, obviously.
Spielberg would be good. I mean, I could talk about Michael Mann till the cows come home. I don't know if that's as much of as you sort of have a passion for Michael Mann films as much as I do, but
the ones I've seen I've liked, but I don't have a lot. I think we could definitely do. I'd have to change my Scorsese list because Shutter Island's definitely up there now that I've finally seen it. I think like the obvious one is Tarantino.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do there. I don't know how into Robert Rodriguez you are, but he's got quite a good catalog.
I'd need to do. We could approach that as like my introduction because I haven't seen a great deal of his films, so like maybe I'd watch a few in the lead up to give you my reviews.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just having a look at my collection, see if there's any other directors that stand out. But there's so much. Like there's so many options. You could do Coen Brothers. Yeah,
we do Clint Eastwood, and we'd be here for like 10 hours. He's directed like 40 films.
I also haven't seen that much Clint Eastwood though. Like, did he do the Richard Jewell movie? Was that him?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie. That was a great movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's really good. That actor's so good.
That's the thing about. He played just as a circle back to that Blackbird show. He plays the serial killer. That guy who plays Richard Jewell.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. But Clint films are like, I don't know how Clint has positioned himself. He just like, you know what he is? He's like Prince in like the music sense, where there's just so much that you don't know what's supposed to be. Like every time there's a new Spielberg film or like a Scorsese, it's a big event. Whereas Clint has so many films, you're just like, what's good here? You know, like everyone's got their own personal favorite, like Clint Eastwood film, where he's acting or directing. Like it's not like I can't really think of one Clint Eastwood film as a director or actor where it's like, oh, that's the main one that you've got to see.
Yeah, definitely. I probably haven't seen that many, like directed or acted. Like Clint Eastwood was just not a staple of my childhood and my burgeoning film love.
Yeah, my dad was
I've
a
gone
big
back.
Clint Eastwood fan. Like he was just he was just a presence in my like throughout my that period of like late childhood into teens when you start to absorb movie culture, like, you know, when you have family movie nights, like, you know, my dad, it was his turn to pick. We'd watch like a Western or something like Dirty Harry or something like that. And it's like you just start absorbing Clint Eastwood into the brain.
Yeah, definitely. That's it's an interesting tangent, like you mentioning your father. Like I think there's something to a list about like movies my parents brought to me or movies my dad showed me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, we were talking about it before, like quite a bit. We're talking about films that no one's seen. I think there is room for an underrated list or like lesser known classics, or you know, this you may have missed. And we'll find a better title than that, but like things like that.
Yeah.
There's so much to do, but I just realized we've been going for about 2.5 hours. It's so
you know
funny.
What? Not bad.
Yeah, like it definitely was a tangent, and like I think there was one moment where there's a brief lull, and then we just like powered through.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but like that could be edited out with some smart editing. There's probably a bit where we were just like, I feel like we were just talking about maybe, I don't know. I feel like there was a bit where it was just like, it felt like we wrapping up and then just like power through. So really, with the right provisions, like I'm out of water. But like the right provisions, like we could power for another few hours, I reckon.
Absolutely. But maybe we won't. I did want to add though, we could play to James Cameron and Ridley Scott as well.
Oh my god, yeah.
You like Scott. I'll say you like Tony Scott.
I love Tony Scott.
I don't know how many Tony Scott films I've seen, but also like that just sounds like a challenge to me. I'm like, all right, got to dust off some Tony Scott films.
Yeah.
John Landis, pardon me, I think there's some room for as well.
Remind me what are his films like? What are his like?
So Blues Brothers, American Werewolf in London.
Okay.
I can't think of the two off the top of my head now, but he's on a few. There's plenty out there. Like the beauty of this, and now that, you know, I don't know where I'm going to arrive in time next, there's always the flexibility to just keep going on. And once I get my navigation sorted out, I'll be able to travel through the multiverse as well, and then we can just keep doing this forever. And that'll be that.
Yeah. And then the final one I would say I would really love to do is John Hughes. But then, do I remember correctly from our 80s pod that you're not a massive John Hughes fan?
No, I do like John Hughes. Tina doesn't.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
But I haven't seen a lot of John Hughes either. Like I haven't even seen the staples. Look, I've seen Breakfast Club, but I haven't seen 16 Candles. Haven't done Pretty in Pink. I got Ferris Bueller. And then like obviously he didn't direct, but he wrote the Home Alone films, which we've talked about a little bit in the past.
Yeah, just a little bit. But to be honest, if you've seen one John Hughes film, you've seen like white kids in like Chicago.
Yeah, in houses, like somehow their parents afford, even though they've just got menial jobs.
Yeah, that's it.
Like I remember there's a big thing recently where they're like the biggest, forget the violence. The hardest thing to swallow in Home Alone is how a single parent income family has that house that fits like 20 children in
it. Yeah, such a good point.
Nice one. Well, that's probably going to do it for episode 26 of I Was a Teenage Film Snob. It has been a heck of a half year. We've had a lot of great conversations, talked about a lot of great movies. I want to thank, of course, my wonderful guest Nick Owen, who is always welcome on the show, and I would go so far as to say is probably at this point the unofficial second host of this show. You've been on more episodes than anyone else.
Oh, thanks, mate. Just call me Duke.
The Duke, to bring it all back. I'd forgotten about that.
Thank
funny.
you. Thanks for having me again. I really enjoyed this like digital jazz, unstructured podcast with no particular topic. And congratulations on the first 26. So here's to many more.
Thank you. It's been a hell of a ride, and there's just so much more to do. For those listening at home, thank you for listening. Of course, please follow on Instagram. I Was a Teenage Film Snob with underscores between every single word. Because hey, why not? I post all sorts of good stuff on there all the time. Well, I think it's good. You might think it's trash, but give it a look. The show is available, of course, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor FM. I'm still trapped in time. We did this digitally, so Nick is safe at home, but I'm still floating through the river of time and space. But hopefully, I'll find my way home soon. I've got my converter. I'm turning trash into fuel, so we're on the way. And that's going to pretty much do it. So thank you again to Nick. And as I say every single week, guys, look, I was a teenage film snob, but I promise I'm trying to be better. See you next week. Okay, everyone. So I spoke with Nick, obviously, and that show went really good. The time machine is up and running again, and I've just hit the button to take me home. Oh, something smells interesting. There's like an odor of like sulfur and brimstone, and it just got really, really warm in here. Well, that doesn't seem ominous at all. I will keep you informed next week. I'll see you guys soon.